He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time. It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs. So I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one. Even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get a rest!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days, they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Josh Silverberg.
You're not even a has-been.
You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, well, it was last night, but finally, the Errol Marks is back in town. Yes, the Errol Marks. But this is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg, and Mr. Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. You can call us at 631-965-4990. You can download our app by going to iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. What is going on, Speedy? Were you crying last night after the show? Did Mr. Jeffrey actually make you cry last night after the show?
No.
No?
No, I wouldn't go as far as cry after the show.
Were you upset? Were you upset that Jeffrey hurt your feelings?
It was a throwback.
It was a throwback to what?
Let's put it to 2017.
2017. So you just have, you just go back in time. Speedy is back in time.
It was a I guess negative nostalgia, I guess is the best way to put it.
A nice little word for the day.
Jeff hasn't gone that hard at me in a long time. I don't know if 2017 was the last time. It was probably before or after that.
Do you want Jeff to kiss you? Do you want him to apologize and kiss you?
No.
I think a nice kiss in the cheek would make you feel better.
No,
what do you think, Josh? You think Jeff needs a kiss, Speedy?
I think Jeff has a better chance of calling Speedy another name than he does of kissing him.
You would be right on that
one. Would you kiss Jeff if you ever met Jeff? Would you kiss him on the stomach? Because, he looks like he's a little hungry. Would you kiss him in the stomach? No?
No, I'm not putting out my saliva to Jeff.
Well, I didn't say saliva. I said kiss his stomach. Lip to stomach. Would you let...
And that involves saliva.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it would be a very good absolute positive thing for you to kiss Jeff's stomach.
Speedy, you even overanalyze hypotheticals, man.
Would you stick your tongue in his belly button?
Oh my God!
I think you can clean his belly button. I don't know if he cleans it.
This is turning into a Snapchat episode.
That would be interesting. What, Speedy, you wouldn't do that?
No.
Would you? If somebody dared you to do that, would you do that?
No.
You wouldn't do that if somebody dared you
without a benefit.
Oh, well, what kind of benefit would you want to stick your tongue in Jeff's belly button?
Something that gross. Like I tell you all the time, I would.
No, 6-digit, amount.
No, that's only for celebrity.
So what would it be? What would you want to stick your tongue in his belly button? What would you do?
Well, where would I be? Where hypothetically?
I don't know where you'd be. In the toilet. I don't know.
Ew. No.
Where? So how much would you want?
Depends on where I am.
What do you mean? If you were in this room, were you in this studio? Would you, if he pulled down and opened up his shirt and you stuck your tongue, would you stick your tongue in his belly button? Yes or no?
All right. What I want from Jeff? That's a good question. Or you, I guess. Nah, probably be from Jeff. It probably would. It would take some kind of liquor supply. Knowing Jeff,
liquor? Well, like what kind of? What bottle of liquor?
No, yeah, like an amount. It would probably take something like that, or bar food or something like that.
I think Jeff has a restraining order.
Did you hear that?
But it would have to be probably a large amount. For me to do it. It wouldn't be just like.
How about
it wouldn't be just be one thing.
How about a week's supply of wings? Would you allow it?
Would I do it for a week's supply?
A week? Could you just answer the damn question?
Why are you asking these stuff?
Because this is a good question.
Questions on air.
I think it would be a good question, and I think you could answer it. So,
yeah, that doesn't mean. Yeah, it's a good question. That's why I'm thinking about it.
Well, what is there to think about? You said you would. You said you would.
It doesn't mean it's not a tough question.
It is not a tough question. You answered it with ease.
No, I didn't.
You just said you'd do it. For what? What would you want before we get into our show? What would you want to actually put your tongue in Jeff's belly button?
All right. It would have to be a week's supply of wings, nachos, and whatever the liquor would be.
I mean, Speedy, you already let your dog lick your asshole, so you might as well.
By accident! He did.
By accident.
By accident.
I don't understand how it was by accident.
Let me ask you.
I have a dog.
Let me ask all the fans out there: if you actually left your door open and you were,
I didn't leave it open.
So how did he open up the door?
He knows how to open that one because he could barrel his head through it.
Again, I will say this: if it was, because you guys have seen, I have a bigger dog. If you have one of those like long kind of knobs, when they leave, when they kind of lean against the door, when they slide down, what they do is their paw hits the door and it opens up. I'm just trying to give a hypothetical of what could have happened. Now, listen. My dog has come in she's never come even.
Has your dog ever licked your ass? Yes or no?
Not even coming close.
Okay, so
would I ever even allow that to happen?
Would she even put her beak into your ass?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so how? Let me ask you a question, Speedy. Unless your ass smells damn good like roses, why the hell would your dog stick his nose in your ass?
Sorry, I don't know the instincts of my dog that well. He does a lot of weird things.
It would make no sense to me.
We're not dogs. We don't know dogs.
Well,
the dogs like to sniff all the dogs' asses, and let's remove it, all shit out of there. So I'm thinking, Speed, did you take number 2 and forget to wipe it afterwards? Like, what'd you do? Were you
early?
Yes, Carl. I said dogs have beaks. Noses.
That's what Carl got out of the conversation.
Anyways,
out of this.
Anyways, we have a great show lined up for you guys today.
I love that's what Carl got out of it. That's
we're going to get into obviously Duke. Mike, Coach K has announced his retirement after 2022 season, and John Shire will be his predecessor. And then obviously we're going to get into the New York Islanders. They're down 1-0 going into the third period against the Boston Bruins. Well, we'll get into that. I'm sure Lyle will call up and give us his whole take after the game is over. And I'm definitely going to predict that Jeff is going to call one way or another. We are going to get into the New York Knicks season. What should the Knicks do in the offseason? And some of these teams that are getting eliminated in the NBA playoffs, there are 2 teams. Washington, what should Washington do with Bradley Beal? What should the Knicks do in the offseason to make their team a little bit better? So we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We're going to have Chaz from the betting show joining us at 10:30 our time. And I think at his time, I think it would be
9:30.
9:30
in Houston.
in his time.
I was in Houston. I thought he was in San Diego. Sorry.
And
no,
then
he lives in San Diego.
Do we have Mark? Do we have Mark coming on the show?
Mark is coming on at 11.
Mark will be on our show. Mark Everett Kelly will be joining us at 11 o'clock to go over all the stuff that's happened over the last couple of days in sports. And then we'll get into the Yankees, the Mets, and what's going on in baseball. There's a lot to talk about. But first things first, and we're going to get into football. We always get into football. And where, they're saying that in the next 24 hours, we're going to know where Julio Jones is going. Baltimore is out now. There's only 2 teams involved now. It's Seattle and Tennessee. So more than likely, it's going to be Tennessee, but we'll see what happens moving forward. That whole show yesterday was all about Seattle, but it looks like he might be heading to Tennessee. But nevertheless, I want to get into Coach K, and we got into bits and pieces of it yesterday. And Coach K, if anybody doesn't know who Mike Krzyzewski is, this is one of the top coaches, not only in professional sports, college sports, in any sport. This guy has dominated collegiate basketball for almost 22, 23 years. And if you look at what Duke has done, look at the players that have come out of Duke and been successful in the NBA. 2 notable guys, Jason Tatum, and obviously Zion Williamson. And the Knicks have obviously one of them who actually cost them a win yesterday, but that's a whole nother story. And obviously guaranteeing a win, which was ridiculous. But there's a lot of great players that came out of Duke. Grant Hill being another one of my favorites. Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner. The one thing that I've learned over the last, I would say, 20 years of college basketball from Coach K is he preaches defense and he demands perfection. And when you look at, Roy Williams, Coach K, and all the different coaches we've seen, top coaches that we've seen come in and out of college basketball, the one name that really pops up out of all of them is Coach K or Wooden. But what Coach really did over the last couple of years, he won gold medals with the Olympic team. LeBron James says he's the best coach he's ever coached him over, in his whole career. He teach defense. A lot of these NBA players, when they played on the Olympic team, they didn't understand. Yeah, and Dean Smith too. Dean Smith was a very well-known coach from North Carolina, obviously. But when you think of college sports, collegiate sports, the first name, at least in the 21st century, the name that pops up to you is Coach K. And you look at all the players that have been on, that wanted to play for Duke, and how many national championships he's won in the last 25 years. I think he won 4 or 5.
Five.
Okay. And really who he is as a coach. And he was never caught cheating. Never. I mean, obviously there's speculations. They're still investigating the whole Zion Williamson thing, but I don't think they're going to find anything, because if they were going to find something, they would have found it already. But Coach K is one of the most notable coaches. When you talk about Greg Popovich, you talk about Bill Belichick, we talk about Scotty Bowman, then you think of Coach K. And Coach K has had that job since the 80s. Since, I think, his first year was 83 or 84 was his first time as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. And he was there with Scotty Bowman all those years coaching the Detroit Red Wings. And when you talk about greatness, Speedy, and you talk about coaches that you want to look up to, and if you want to kind of like you want to teach. You want to teach the surroundings of understanding the game of basketball. You talk about Phil Jackson in professional basketball, and then you talk about in college basketball in the 21st century, Coach K. So it's a huge loss for college basketball to lose a coach that great, so important to the game of basketball. And he's retiring. He's had a great career. He's done very, very well for himself, him and his family. And then he gives the reins to John Shire. Now, this is the throwback and why I am not very happy as a Duke fan. John Shire he was a decent basketball player for the Duke Blue Devils. He never won a national championship with the Duke Blue Devils. He's been under Coach K for about 3 years on the coaching staff. He was a subpar point guard to be at best. Okay. I don't think, moving forward for the Duke Blue Devils, did he win a national title? I wasn't sure. Did he? I guess he did win a national title. I'm not positive that he won a national. Who cares if he won a national title? You really think he's that great of a great player? He's done nothing. He wasn't a top end player for the Duke Blue Devils. And really, what John Shire is, and as a player, and I don't care if you coached him, Carl. It doesn't really matter to me, because to me, John Shire was the wrong choice. You could have brought in a Rick Pitino. You could have brought in any of these more known coaches to take over a collegiate school like Duke, a very well-known, high-profile school like Duke. You do not give the reins to Don Shire, okay? I would have given it to Grant Hill. I would have given it to somebody more known, more respectable, Christian Leitner, Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley's a coach. Why didn't he offer the job to Bobby Hurley? Now, what is he writing over here, Speedy? Are you reading what he's saying?
I was trying to find out if he won a championship.
He did win a championship.
He did win in 2010.
2009-2010 team. Carl says, who is the face of college basketball once Coach K hangs it up? Roy Williams, Tom Izzo, Jay Roy
Williams is retired.
Roy Williams is retired. Calipari, Ben threw in there Calipari maybe as well.
No,
Calipari. He was
great.
Just cleaning up your take. And Snook says, I don't know, as a Heels fan, I love the choice. Huh? Didn't know you were a Heels fan, Snook.
To me,
a new rivalry.
I forgot that John Shire was on that 2009-2010 season. That just shows you how non-important he was to that team. Yeah. Okay. I don't even remember that. Okay. But I do know this. When you look at all the coaches, all the players that played for Duke, even coaches like Bobby Hurley right now, who is a coach, why did you offer the job to Bobby Hurley? He is actually a good coach, okay? And him taking over for Duke would be really special. I mean, Jason Williams, who's right now an analyst for ESPN, why not offer the job to him? Or even brought him into the office and kind of give him an opportunity to interview for the position.
What about even a John Beilein?
Yeah.
He's right now out of Michigan. Yeah. Analyst right now.
I mean, seriously, there are a lot of choices that Coach K could have chose from, and he chose John Shire. John Shire, okay? I don't know how long he's going to be the coach over there. And I know, like I said, Carl coached him, and I know Carl loves John. I don't know John personally, Shire. I watched him play. He was a decent basketball player. He never played in the NBA. I think he knows the college game a little bit. He was one of Coach K's favorite players. I know that. When he played almost 3 years for Coach K, he was a big favorite for Coach K. And then obviously when he retired from college basketball and he obviously graduated from Duke, he came on as the assistant coach for Coach K. And I guess he was grooming him to be the next Coach K. But, I mean, what is your thought, Speedy? Obviously with Coach K and John Shire taking over the reins for the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, it's pretty much irreplaceable with what Coach K did. And for all the years that he coached there, evolved with many different eras of college basketball. When he started in the 80s and the 90s, it was a very different game to what it is now. And he really changed with that. And he always had his guys. He always made other guys that even weren't the superstar players. He made all those guys work in his system. He made all those guys work for the team as players and even as individuals. Obviously now later on they had the reputation of the Duke bad boys and stuff like that. All the random guys that everybody hated. But again, that's going to come with winning. That's going to come with a rivalry that comes with college basketball. It's passionate rivalries that happen with Duke and North Carolina. Obviously, I think it was one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports. And Coach K really changed with the times to the one and dones when that all started, bringing in the top recruits. But he also stuck with his guys too, like guys like Grayson Allen, who were key in that 2015 championship team. It wasn't
especially kicking people in the balls too.
No, later, but still, like that was 2017.
I love Grayson Allen. I know you guys hate him, but I love him.
Well, yeah, he also big. But that doesn't help. you can see where the reputation goes with that. But like those types of guys, though, he makes work for for them to win championships too and go far in the tournament. And Duke, they're always in it. They're always a top seed, and steadily, consistently, there aren't many programs as consistently top 3 until obviously last year, as Duke has been for the last 20 or so years, and one of the biggest powerhouses in all of college sports.
How about you, Josh? What are your thoughts with Jon Scheyer being the chosen one for Coach K after almost 30 years coaching the Duke Blue Devils? He's stepping down, he's retiring, and he's giving the reins to good old Jon Scheyer.
Oh, well, clearly Coach K had the right to pick who he wanted to replace him, right? I mean, isn't that how it is? The guy's a legend in itself. I mean, you spoke about it. The two guys that I think of in college basketball to me is obviously Coach K, and the other one to me, it's a different era, but is John Wooden. Those are the two guys that are names that come. But it's kind of weird that you're seeing Coach K's out, Roy Williams out. I think Jim Boeheim is retiring too after next season as well from Syracuse. So it's kind of weird that you're seeing a change of the guard now with these coaches. I mean, 5 national championships, 3 gold medals with the USA national team. It's an incredible feat that I don't know if it's ever going to be topped.
How about this record? 1,097 and 3.
It's crazy. Almost 100 wins. It's insane. And he's going to get that this year after this. You know, I mean, he'll get that, but it's crazy that clearly he had a stake in it of who he wanted to pick. I agree with you. He should have picked a bigger name coach. I think.
Why not Bobby Hurley? I think Bobby Hurley would
have been great. I don't know if they would have went the route with Rick Pitino. I guess maybe because he's still getting over the stuff with the accusations and everything that they didn't want to take a chance. But.
It's all about recruiting.
I know it is. That's why I thought John Beilein would have been a really good hire for them. John Beilein did a great job at kind of bringing back Michigan to its roots of being a really good powerhouse college basketball team. And then Juwan Howard took over right there. For some reason, Beilein went to the Cavaliers. I'm still trying to figure out why he made that move.
I'm still surprised he hasn't got another college job yet.
I'm surprised too. He's on the Big Ten, I believe, as an analyst. I am just trying to figure out why. But no, the move was head scratching to me with Scheyer. I know Carl worked with him and everything like that. And look, we'll see if it pans out. We don't know anything. I always look at it like this. We don't know what the guy is until he shows it. If like the first 6 games of the year and they're like 1-5 or something like that, then you are obviously a cause for concern. But if he recruits well and he kind of keeps the hold up that Coach K did, because maybe Coach K will still be involved in the recruiting process. You know, that could be a possibility.
That doesn't matter. You know this as well as anybody.
No, I know. It's going to be hard to kind of figure that out, but it's all a matter of who you know, I guess. And look, I think Coach K, they gave him the full autonomy of who he wanted to have replace him. And he had the right to be able to let who he wanted to replace him. And he chose a guy that was on his staff and a guy that wanted to
be here more than 3 years. Yeah, great idea, Coach. Great idea.
Yeah, I guess if you make your worst decision, I guess it's going to be when you retire and you have no way to worry about. So
I mean, as a Duke fan, I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm not a Florida State fan. I'm not a Florida fan. I'm not a Nebraska fan. I'm not a Michigan State fan. I am a Duke Blue Devils fan. And looking at the chosen one and Jon Scheyer, I think this is a terrible mistake for Coach K. And this, as good as Coach K was and one of the greatest coaches in professional and college sports we've ever seen, this could be something that people are going to point their fingers at 3-4 years down the road. Why did you hire this guy when you had a chance to hire Bobby Hurley, or even reach out to Christian Laettner or somebody that probably would have fit better over there and maybe would have drawn more recruits to come over there and play with Duke?
I know it. I know we talk about it, but another name, I know he just got hired in Chicago. I don't know if he would have made the move, but why not even at least reach out to Billy Donovan? Why not reach out to Billy Donovan and say, hey, listen, I know you just kind of signed with the Bulls, but let's be real here. You're more of a natural fit in the collegiate sport. Maybe do you want to come here possibly? There were so many names that they could have chosen from. This one was a head scratcher for sure.
Snug says, who's worse, Christian Laettner or Grayson Allen?
Oh, God.
That was a tough one. Ben said Mike Bray, Tommy Amaker, Johnny Dawkins, Jeff Capel, and Bobby Hurley all would have been better. Yeah, I forgot about Bray. Bray's another very good choice for Notre Dame. Carl says, if Coach K is amazing and we all know who he is, why don't you trust the pick?
Because we have seen many, many coaches choose his predecessor after he decides to retire, and none of them pan out, a.k.a. the UConn. They went to a national championship, but that was his team. And he still was picking the players. Coach K already said that once he retires, he's not. I mean, obviously, he's going to be a part of the organization. He's going to be part of the school because the gym is named after him. The practice facility is named after him. But I don't think he is going to be recruiting players anymore. The whole point of retiring is retiring to relax and spend time with his grandchildren, his children, and his wife. That's what I think he wants to do. And Coach K has had an amazing career. He really is. He's done everything you could possibly do on the collegiate level. He's won championships. He's won the Naismith College Coach of the Year. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pronounce it while I'm looking at this and trying to take care of everything else. But he's one of the most well-known coaches in professional sports and college and collegiate sports. So I know everybody's going to say, well, why don't you trust the coach? It's not that I don't trust Coach K. I don't trust John Shire. And John Shire, it's all about recruiting. And how is this guy? When you have Calipari out there, you have Pitino out there, still very well-known coaches that are out there. Why would they go and play for John Shire when they can go play with Pitino or Calipari or any of these big, well-known coaches that are all over the country? Duke is just a name now that Coach K is gone. It's just a name. It's just a collegiate school. Duke was Coach K, and now Coach K is gone. So this is the last time we're going to see Coach K. Hopefully he's got a good recruiting class. I think he does. I think he has a top 5 recruiting class this year.
Yeah, this year for his final year. Yeah,
he has a top 5 recruiting class.
Oh, everybody's going to want to sign up to play with him for the last year.
Yeah,
no, of course. Even same thing with Boeheim too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Syracuse has a great but I mean, I would think players would want to come and line up to play for Boeheim too.
Well, Syracuse is a little different where they don't have as much of the national reputation. Boeheim is, since they've joined the ACC, they've been more of those lower level pesky type.
That was the killer with them doing that.
Not the same powerhouse as they were in the Big East, so they lost a little bit there. Ben says Barry Alvarez is a prime example of why that doesn't always work. Belima was a horrible pick for Wisconsin football.
Yep.
He shipped as fast as he could to the SEC and signed for Arkansas. Yeah, and that'll be a big downfall.
Damn right, it was horrible. I was so pissed when they made that move.
And by the way, Carl says that he can recruit, and I'm sure he can recruit. I'm sure he recruited a lot of players that played for with the Zion Williamson. I think he did recruit Zion Williamson, and that's great. That's because Coach K was there. Okay, if Bobby Hurley was there, do you know how many recruits would come and play for Bobby Hurley with the Duke Blue Devils? I mean, Bobby Hurley would have been the perfect choice for Duke. I think he's my favorite player. He's one of the most known, well-respectable college players that we remember in the 90s with those great Duke teams with Christian Laettner. Even Christian Laettner, as great as he was and what he did in college basketball and that great season when they beat Kentucky, the first person that pops up in my head is Bobby Hurley and what he did in that season.
Kentucky fans still hate him for that.
I did like your idea, Arrow, of Grant Hill. I think the only thing is because he does have a minority stake in the Atlanta Hawks right now as an owner, but I don't know if he really wants to leave that. I understand that would. I mean, look, Juwan Howard went to Michigan. Everybody mocked it, right? Everybody's such a terrible move. He's not going to know what he's in over his head. He doesn't know how to recruit. He's not going to fit well with the game. The Michigan became a top 5 team this year. And if not for injuries, who knows how far they would have went. I mean, I picked them
to the Elite Eight
times to win the national championship on the weekend crunch. And then they had a bunch of injuries. So I think when you look at former players that fit the mold of where they came from, I think that's so important because they know what the rum of it is to be as a Duke Blue Devil, right? As a Michigan Wolverine. You grew up playing there, so you know what the feeling is like when you win there and everything like that. And that's important.
Snug says Coach K will be in charge of paying Duke recruits and their families their down low money. Because he can recruit. He closed the deal on recent talent. I got you, Errol. I agree. It's the wrong choice. Belima was solid, and Michigan equals the new Duke.
That possibly could be true. In Michigan, if Juwan Howard stays there and wins his first national title, I think that if he stays there as a college coach, yeah, they could be very successful. A lot of people are going to want to play for Juwan. Juwan was a successful NBA player. He wasn't a superstar, but he was a decent player.
Oh, they're going to want to play there with him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. The way he coaches and how he's a team first, everything second. So I think Juwan Howard would be a perfect place. Juwan Howard, why not offer the job to Juwan Howard? I know he's from Michigan. He played for Michigan, but I mean, I would have chose anybody but John Shire.
Billy Donovan would have been. I'm telling you, I think Donovan. I know, like I said, he just got hired as the Bulls coach. I believe it was a year ago. But you can't tell me if Duke came calling and said, hey, you want to come coach the Duke Blue Devils, he would have left the Bulls job. He would have left it in 2 seconds to go coach Duke. And he was look at what he did when he back-to-back national championships, and the recruiting classes that he had were incredible. With Horford and Brewer and Noah. And
David Lee.
He had. It was insane.
It probably would take a lot for him to leave the NBA job, because also, though, he's done well in the NBA.
Yeah, but let's be real here, Speedy. At the same time, if you're going from the Chicago Bulls, who are right now in a rebuilding process, kind of, to one of the greatest, you could even say coziest jobs in all of collegiate sports, then why wouldn't you make the jump?
No, I'm just saying, in terms of the comparison, the money would still have to work for that to happen.
Oh, dude, come on. You know Duke would pay him the money. Duke would pay him the money.
Of course, Duke could pay him. I'm not denying that.
As we are talking about college sports, I want to move into the NBA. And yesterday, the New York Knicks get eliminated from the playoffs 4-1 against the Atlanta Hawks. We talk about Trae Young and how sensational he was in that series and really put himself on the map in Madison Square Garden. He's probably the most hated player as far as New York is concerned in New York basketball. I would say, even when you talk about Kyrie Irving, you talk about obviously Kevin Durant deciding to go over there and play for Brooklyn. I think when you look at the big picture, I would probably say that Trae Young is probably the most hated for the New York Knicks fan. But you can't take away what the Atlanta Hawks did against the Knicks. They took out Julius Randle. Julius Randle looked like a subpar player at best. Everybody was talking about MVP candidate, me being one of them. He had a sensational regular season, but got into the playoffs. And I think it has a lot to do with the fans. All season long, the Knicks have not played in front of any fan because of COVID-19. And I think the quietness and really nobody shouting at you and pantering on you, I think Julius Randle really benefited through that all season long. And as the fans started to play in the seats and you saw as the playoffs began and where everything was starting to fill in when it came to the stadiums, he wasn't the same player. Maybe because of the fact that there was more pressure on him, maybe the fact that he can't play in front of fans. I don't know. Julius Randle has never had a season like this before in his career, averaging almost 24.5 points a game, 10 rebounds, and almost 7 assists for a power forward. He had LeBron James-esque numbers. When he got into the playoffs, you know what he averaged in the playoffs? 14 points.
Horrible.
14 points.
Shot 29%.
And shot 29%. Now, the Knicks this offseason is going to have $60 million to work with. Now, obviously, Derrick Rose is a free agent. Now, I think you could bring Derrick Rose on a cheap. You could bring him as a veteran minimal. I think he'll come back and play for.
He said he wants to come back.
Yes, but he's not going to come on the cheap end unless he takes the veterans minimal. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do in the offseason and what the Knicks are going to do. Now, a lot of free agents say that this might be a clear-cut place to go and play now that Tom Thibodeau is there. Leon Rose is there. I mean, there were stories coming out over there with the Timberwolves, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that now is run by Alex Rodriguez. They might move on with Karl Anthony Towns and try to get as much as they can get back from Karl Anthony Towns. He's a player that would go and play for Tom Thibodeau. He grew up a New York Knicks fan. He's from the New Jersey area. I think Taj Gibson will probably be back too next year because he was one of the leaders for the Knicks. Is Julius Randle coming back next year? I know he has one more year left on his contract. A lot of people think he's more of a third option or a second option. What do the Knicks do with him? Do they extend him for the 4-year, $100 million contract? Will he take that? Or do the Knicks take a step back, hold on to the contract, see what he does in the regular season next year, and see what he could do in the playoffs if they make the playoffs next year? Damian Lillard has been a very big name out there. Even at the trade deadline this year, Dame Lillard has said that he would come and play for the Knicks. He's a very well-known rapper now in the business. His album came out in the beginning of the season. This would be a perfect place. New York would be a perfect place.
Going the Le'Veon Bell route. That's what he's doing. He's going the Lev Bell route with the rapping.
You would hope that wouldn't be
Lev
the case.
Bell. No. Lev Bell took almost a year and a half off. Lillard is playing at the top of his game right now at the age of 32. He's probably the best point guard in the league. If you add a Damian Lillard and a Bradley Beal like we were talking about yesterday, you're automatically a championship competitive team in the Eastern Conference if you put the right players around them. And maybe even Julius Randle being your third option.
If he needs to be the third option if they're going to win.
If you can somehow keep Julius Randle and have Bradley Beal and have Damian Lillard, I mean, then you have a great three combination. You have, so I think the Knicks have a lot. They have a lot of thinking to do, and the thoughts behind it is Leon Rose has got to be very smart and not trade away the future.
Snug says, I heard that Coach K is opening a bakery that specializes cupcakes. Can't wait. Carl says the K Cup. Snug says Trae Young could be the new Steph Curry. Carl says Taj Gibson back. Snug says, I can't wait for the Knicks to give D Rose a max contract. Carl says, say it, Errol, Dame time. And Snug says, wait, Chris Paul was the best point guard in the league last night.
To me,
I think Errol was talking about in his prime.
Yes.
I think he's saying that.
Yes. And I think that Damian Lillard right now in the league is the number one point guard in the league. A lot of people will argue it could be one or two other players, but I think in the last 2 or 3 years, Damian Lillard has been the best point guard in the NBA. And if somehow the Knicks can ply him away from Portland's going nowhere in the Western Conference. They're not with the Nuggets there at 100% with Murray over there. He obviously tore his ACL. He'll be back next year with that team with Jokic and Porter Jr. I mean, that team is going to be sensational.
And they're still up 3-2 on the Blazers.
Absolutely. I mean, and you obviously see the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. There's so many dominant teams, and you still have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George over there with the LA Clippers that are one game away from
Utah. Utah's another one.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. So the Western Conference is more dominant. Damian Lillard would have a better chance of winning a championship going to New York because they only have to play a Western Conference team once in a championship. And the East is very weak. Besides the Brooklyn Nets, you could the Bucks are beatable. The 76ers are beatable. The Miami Heat are beatable. So, I mean, if he came to the Knicks, he has a very good chance of going and going all the way to the Eastern Conference Championship and maybe going to an NBA championship, which he's never played in his complete whole career.
Snow says Lillard is the best point guard and not named Steph Curry. I think he surpassed Steph Curry 2 years ago.
Oh, he's definitely better than Steph Curry. Absolutely better than Steph Curry, especially what he did in the playoffs this year. I mean, that 13 3-point shot game, which he broke a record in overtime.
Yeah, right.
50 points, 10 assists, and 14 rebounds or something like that.
Some of the most insane clutch numbers this season, too, you'll ever see.
I mean, the only thing with Dame Lillard going to New York, the Knicks are going to have to give up a significant amount to Portland to get him. They do have 2 first-round draft picks this year and 4 second-round draft picks this year, which is a significant, especially trading down, trading away in the first round this past year. And they made some trades over the last couple of years to add 4th round draft picks. So they have a significant draft stock and they have money to spend. Maybe they take on a contract from Portland to land Damian Lillard. Maybe you take CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard and give up a significant amount of prospects.
Yeah, that actually it's like doubles or adds more to the offer if you want McCollum.
I'm just saying they're taking away contracts. That's what if Portland's willing to give up Damian Lillard, they're going to want you to take a contract, a bad contract, or a contract that they don't want to use anymore. So the Knicks could do that with the money that they have. But again, they got to be smart with this. So if they can somehow ply Dame time away from Portland, you still need another player. And I don't know if Julius Randle is that second option. Now, RJ Barrett, I still think RJ Barrett has a lot of learning to do. I still think he could be a star. I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think he's Zion Williamson or John Moran. I think he's a little bit under those two guys. But he could be a 20-10 guy and be a significant part, a significant piece to a championship competitive team. Something that the Nets don't have. They have 3 really big pieces, and then they have add-on pieces to that team. So I think that Leon Rose has got to be very smart. Tom Thibodeau as the head coach. And Tom Thibodeau has ruined players. We've seen this before. He's drowned players, wearing them out, and then he's weared out his record. Well, welcome when it came to Chicago. Then he went over there to the Timberwolves pretty quickly. He weared out his welcome. But I think with Leon Rose and Wesley running this organization, and then you have Perry over there, you have a significant group of guys that are all about winning. I think both of you guys, I think the Knicks have a very good chance. They have a very good future, especially when there are players that have come out over the last couple of months saying that they would not mind to go and play with Tom Thibodeau and play for Tom Thibodeau and this team, especially the growth of this team in such a quick turnaround where everybody thought they were going to be barely 26 win, 27 win team to a 41 win team and a 4th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, again, I've mentioned for a while that the Knicks have to start rebuilding like a mid-level, a mid-market type team. It seemed like they were always trying for the free agents, and then they always settled on other free agents that didn't work out, and then they ended up overpaying for these guys. And they went through a vicious cycle of that. Now they actually have draft picks, they have young players, they have an enticing coach, and finally that's going to lure free agents in the future, especially if you do get one superstar. Because again, a lot of these superstars now they want certain guys to play with. So let's say they get a Bradley Beal, for example. Bradley Beal can then say, all right, I want this guy now. He could tell the front office, make a trade for this guy or sign this guy to a max contract. This is who I want to play with, kind of like what Kawhi Leonard did, manipulating Paul George to come to the Clippers. So that kind of thing could work in the favor of the Knicks. Now, James Dolan's always a wild card with that because a lot of players have hated him, but they have other things now that are positive reputation in addition to the New York thing, like you were mentioning with his Damian Lillard's rapping career now, that is going to make it enticing for them to come there. Remember, LeBron only went to the Lakers because of his movie company and eventually
and his son too, with the college, the high schools over there, and the top high school in the country for basketball is over there.
Yeah,
and Dwayne Wade's son plays over there. And obviously, Kenyon Martin. So he wanted his son to play with some of the great young players in high school basketball.
Well, sure. But also, again, because of the entertainment value and the marketing value that a lot of these players can gain in New York, too, there's always going to be that kind of advantage.
Josh, I got a question for you. For all those Knicks fans, and it's been all over the radio today, is this a lost season for the New York Knicks after getting practically swept? They didn't get swept, but they should have gotten swept by the Hawks. Do you think this was a lost season, or do you think this was a great season for the New York Knicks and something they can build on?
Not at all. It's definitely not a lost season. You look at where they were last year. I mean, the last 2 years, what David Fizdale, how many wins combined as a head coach the last 2 years? I think it was 17 wins or something he had. It was ridiculous. The Knicks went from being a disaster dumpster fire to making the playoffs as a 4th seed. And again, Jeff alluded to it last night. You got to get punched in the mouth a couple of times before you start to grow. The Kansas City Chiefs, he made it as an example. They got punched in the mouth a billion times, where then eventually they grew up from it and they got better. I think the Knicks, listen, if they're going to get to where they really want to go, then the Knicks, to me, Julius Randle has to be the number 3. He cannot be the one of the two. He's got to be the third guy here. We saw, and Errol, you mentioned it really quick. If Julius Randle has a problem playing in front of fans, that's a serious issue then that the Knicks really need to think about then. Because if he has an issue playing in front of fans, then this is not the market for him to be in then if he's going to have that kind of issue.
And it looks like it is a problem. It looks like
a big problem then, man. It's a huge problem because if he's this soft, and listen, the fans were giving him adjuration, MVP chance. I don't understand why all of a sudden he just went cold, just cold-flatted and everything. I mean, you look at it this way. Look at the last 2 games of the season, even before they got into the playoffs, right? The Hornets, they beat them in overtime at home. And then a Boston Celtics team, which sat all of their players, they only beat them by, I think, 8 points, 10 points? And I think they were, 14.5-point favorites in that game? Mm-hmm. You had to see some red flags coming up before the playoffs even started when stuff like that was happening. I mean, if you can't blow the Celtics out the door with all their superstar players and their players hurt, there's a serious issue. And there were points where I watched that Hornets game. I went, my God, the Knicks are they're going to lose this. They're not going to get the 4th seed. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot after getting gifts by the Heat with Milwaukee. It's insane. So to me, it's not a lost season. It's a growing experience for these players. They're going to learn from it. I hope to God RJ Barrett shoots freaking better in the playoffs. My God, I mean, how many
21 years old? I'm not going to put this on RJ Barrett.
It's a lot.
I'm going to put this on RJ Barrett. I am going to put this on RJ Barrett.
He said the win.
If you're going to guarantee a win in the New York market, you better damn well win, because to me, everybody's going to pick on you. All the fans are going to pick on you until next year begins, because you came out and said you practically guaranteed a win, and then you lost. You didn't just lose; you got demolished.
Yep,
you got dominated in the fourth quarter. So, to me, RJ Barrett needs to learn how to keep his mouth shut. He is not Zion Williamson. He's not John Moran, where he could put the team on his shoulders and win. he still has a lot of growing pains. He's got a lot of learning to do. And with this team as a whole, I like what I saw with Quickly. I like what, as the second half of the season started to begin, and then
should have played him and Toppin more in the playoffs.
Toppin played more as the season progressed in the second half of the season. So we got the chance to see a little bit of Obi Toppin, where we could see a future with Obi Toppin with this team and Emmanuel Quickly. But two of these guys, or one of these guys, could be gone. RJ Barrett could be gone if they make a trade for a Bradley Beal or something like that in the offseason, or a Damian Lillard. So there's just so much that can happen this offseason. Expect a lot to happen with the New York Knicks, because the Knicks are 2 players away from being a contender in the Eastern Conference. This is not over for the New York Knicks, not by the long shot. And with the youth of this team, this is one of the youngest teams in the NBA. And with Tom Thibodeau still there, and players wanting to play for Tom Thibodeau, I think there's a very good chance that they can ply a superstar away from a Minnesota Timberwolves team, or a Portland Trailblazers team, or both of those teams, or maybe a Washington Wizards
Bullets.
team. Yeah, I always say Bullets, but because that's what I remember.
You
them
and Charlie
as.
Slows.
So I think that when you look at the big picture and you look at the NBA, and is it a lost season for the Knicks? No, I didn't like Stephen A. Smith's take today. Okay. And I'm not going to take shots at Stephen A. Smith, because I'm not a big fan of his. But when it comes to basketball, he's got, to me, I respect his opinion towards basketball, because he's been around the game for a long time. He's a Knicks fan, and he's a diehard Knicks fan. But what he said, the take of the New York Knicks, is he says it's partially a lost season. It's partially a season that they could build on. There's no lost season here. No. There is none. I think this was a good season for the New York Knicks. It would have been a better season if we saw Julius Randle show up in the playoffs. But now it's telling you, as a Knicks fan, maybe Julius Randle isn't the superstar that the Knicks thought they had. And the Knicks have to sit back really, really hard now this offseason and say, should we extend his contract? Do we wait, or do we trade him? Is he a second option? Is he a first option? Or is he a third option? We all think that he's more like a second or third option. If that's the case, maybe you move him and try to bring in a younger player or some draft picks, and then bring in the players that you think fits the culture of this team moving forward to a championship competitive team, as you saw what the Brooklyn Nets did, bringing in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. So the Knicks have the most money this offseason to spend, with, I think it's 62 or 63 million. That could give you 3 max players. That could
the problem is just, it's the free agent market, right? It's pretty weak with all the guys, most of them resigning. So they got to get creative. I mean, you see Jimmy Butler's going to be out there. Maybe Kawhi opts out. If the Clippers lose in the first round, there's been talks that he could. Who knows? It's a very weak class in free agency. So they're going to have to get creative with trades. And they have to be cautious. And like you said, maybe you could trade some of these players and get a superstar back, or 2 superstars back, maybe.
Do you take Jimmy Butler if he does opt out? That would be probably the Knicks would be the favorite to get him.
I will say this: if they get Damian Lillard, they trade for Damian Lillard, and they sign Jimmy Butler, and then you have a Julius Randle there. That's a very good team. Now the Knicks could do it this route as well. They could try to maybe trade for not 1, but maybe trade for 2 superstars. Do that, sign Butler, and then you could trade Julius Randle and get whatever you lost. Maybe you could get that back in a trade package and get those draft picks back and get all that compensation back that you lost and kind of replenish it, right? Because it's like you have enough to get. I think the Knicks have enough to get 2 superstars here. Will they have to trade a lot? Oh, absolutely, they would. But what they could get back right now for Julius Randle, they could maybe replenish that system, and then you could sign a Jimmy Butler, and then that's the way that maybe they could go about it.
Or have him be part of the trade too, Randle. He could be included.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could kind of opt it, and then you could get more draft picks back. And whatever the amount that you get back, and like Speedy said, you can add Julius Randle in the trade, and you could get even more back. You could trade even more of that for another superstar player that, I don't know, maybe a Karl Anthony Towns, or something like that. I don't think they're going to put Towns Butler back on the same team again. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's the guy I think the Knicks need to look at in the offseason.
If they get Towns, they're not getting Butler.
Well, he's not happy over there. And you bring a big man with that talent, and you bring a Damian Lillard to your team. You have your big man, and then you have your point guard. Now you have 2 guys that can shoot the 3, 2 guys that can dominate in the paint and outside the paint, And now you have it, and you can still bring in Jimmy Butler. Absolutely can.
No, because the thing is, Butler and Towns don't get along. They hated each other in Minnesota.
Well, that's true too.
That's the reason why. And Tibbs was.
I forgot about that.
Tibbs was the coach. I don't think you want that kind of family reunion back in.
No, and I don't think that would happen. I forgot about the Jimmy Butler and.
They couldn't stand each other. He said Butler was soft and everything.
That's not. It's not about
Towns was soft. I mean, he said Towns was soft.
Jimmy Butler was hanging out with Karl Anthony Towns' ex-girlfriend. That was what going on.
It always goes back to the girlfriends.
That was the story. And that's why Karl Anthony Towns was pissed off at him. But I think the Knicks have a lot of options this offseason. And if you're a Knicks fan, you should be very excited. Mark Malusis from WFAN spoke and I don't like Moose and Maggie because not that I don't like Mark Malusis. I have a lot of respect for him. I know him personally. But his takes, he usually takes shots at his teams, and he's pretty straightforward, like Joe Beningo from Joe Beningo and Evan Roberts. So the midday show. So I think that Mark Malusis said that if you're not excited, if you're not happy what the New York Knicks did, and you're not excited for the future of the New York Knicks, then you weren't really watching what this team has accomplished in such a short time. But I think that as a fan, as a sports fan, and as a basketball fan, the New York Knicks are back. Now let's see what they can do in the offseason that can really solidify their team. There is a team that really stands out to me after getting knocked out yesterday was the Washington Wizards. Because you don't know where they're going to be. Russell Westbrook is probably going to be traded in the offseason. He the second half of the season, he played very, very well. And he was one of the most dominant players in the second half of the season. And he was the reason why the Wizards made that run. And then obviously the Islanders just scored, by the way. They scored 1-1. But
Carl says Trailblazers jerseys that say Oregon on the front, lame. Jokic putting Blazers bigs in the spin cycle. Then Snug says something that Errol and I have been saying for a while. The Knicks should reunite John Wall and Bradley Beal together, which is very interesting. Snug says the Knicks season was like bad click.
They don't like each other. But John Wall and Bradley Beal don't like each other. So if Bradley Beal goes to the Knicks, John Wall won't be there. And I think if you either bring Bradley Beal or Jimmy Butler as your wing player, your shooting guy over there at the 2, you move RJ Barrett to the 3. That's what I would do. And you bring in Damian Lillard. That's what I would do as your 1. And then with the money you have Julius Randle. You dangle that money around and you see if Julius Randle is good enough to be the 3rd option.
By the way, that's the overrated player that Lyle said scored the goal, by the way.
Yeah.
Overrated my ass.
With him in attendance. Snug says the Knicks season was like bad internet clickbait. It looks good in a glance regular season, but has no real content when you click it. Quick postseason exit. Carl says way too many empty offensive trips by the Knicks in the series. Randall was so off Clang
Terrible.
City. Yeah. Snug says, wonder if Jeremy Lin is available. He probably would have been playing better than Randall.
Anybody was playing better than Julius Randle.
Yeah, seriously.
He was terrible.
Clarence says, what's up, fellas? Carl says, LeBron's the Knicks. Clarence says, Jimmy not leaving Miami. And Snug says, oh, yeah, please have the Knicks bring in Jimmy Butler.
Why? Well, hold on one second. Why would Jimmy want to stay over there in Miami? They don't have another superstar. Oladipo that they brought in tore his knee or it hurt his meniscus. So he's going to be a free agent. He's probably not staying with Miami. So why would he stay in Miami right now? He has a better chance of going to the Knicks with the money that they have in the Eastern Conference, especially challenging the Brooklyn Nets, going back to his old coach. Maybe you re-sign Derrick Rose to a veteran's minimum, and you still could bring in a Damian Lillard and somebody else, and then you have your Fab 3 or whatever, your top 3 guys to build your team around. You still have Emmanuel Quigley, if you can keep one of them, or an Obi Toppin if you can keep the other guy, or you trade RJ Barrett and then you keep Emmanuel Quigley and Obi Toppin, you build around them, those young players. So there's a lot of things the Knicks could do in the offseason. The question is, which way is Rose going to go? And that is going to be the question. I think the number one option that the Knicks need to go after is Damian Lillard. A big-time point guard. Yes, he's 32 years old, but he's at the top of his game. You bring him to the Eastern Conference. He's by far the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. And then you put 1 or 2 players around him with some of these young players, you have a chance to win a championship. And you can compete against the Brooklyn Nets. So to me, that is the route I would go. Bring Dame Lillard there, Dame time, and that will draw more players, more free agents, or more trade pieces to want to come over here and play with Damian Lillard.
Carl says Blazers were up 15 with 4 minutes to go. They brought in Carmelo, and the lead is down to 4. Well, Melo doesn't have the same impact he used to, Carl.
I mean, and with the Milwaukee Bucks against the Brooklyn Nets, a lot of people are picking the Milwaukee Bucks in that series. And I'll be very surprised if the Milwaukee Bucks win that series. Yes, they have more depth than the Brooklyn Nets, but I think the more talented offensive team is the Brooklyn Nets. And if all three players are fighting or playing on all cylinders, I don't think anybody's going to beat them in the Eastern Conference. I really don't. I think the Hawks have a very good chance against Philadelphia, knowing that Joel Embiid is out for the playoffs, hurting his meniscus. He could be back in the finals if they make the finals, because a meniscus surgery, it's not a complete tear. So he could be back in 5-6 weeks. So if they make it to the finals one way or another, maybe Joel Embiid comes back. But
that'd be a miracle for them just to make it to the finals. Even if they do squeak by the Hawks, they still have to face then either the Nets or the Bucks, which both have more overall talent and probably depth as well than the Sixers do without Embiid. And judging the Hawks series, Clint Capella is going to feast inside without Embiid.
Yeah, well, so there's so many things that you can look at when it comes to basketball. And again, the only team that come out of the West so far is the Utah Jazz, who, by the way, was down 1-0 against Memphis and then won 4 games in a row. So, and John Moran, who I think is going to be one of the, by the way, breakaway and stop by Tuukka Rask. So there you go.
I was doing his play-by-play again, folks.
No, I'm shut up, you. Shut up, you. I mean, the
Barzal would have scored.
No, absolutely. No, don't tell Lyle that.
The overrated Barzal would have scored.
Yeah.
With Lyle in attendance.
By the way, and I'm going to say this. She's so overrated. He's playing with 2 players. They're not even a top 50 players in the NHL. So
you can't sit here and tell me that Varlamov hasn't helped the Islanders huge tonight.
What makes him so huge tonight?
How many? He made 4 or 5 really good free.
How many saves? By the way, there he is.
He's at everything. Just like, what's his name? Wilson is at everything too.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Nick Mangold had an effect on these new Jets.
Well, Coach Sala is an Islander fan, so thank God. Thank God.
I mean, is he really an Islander fan, or was he just invited as a guest?
Oh, stop. He's an Islander fan. He's an Islander fan, you little piece of you-know-what.
He doesn't even know one player on the Islanders.
Who cares? Who cares? He's still an Islander fan. What does it matter? If
I don't give a crap. As long as he makes my team better, I don't give a damn.
I mean, what stands out so far? What stands out to you guys?
He's made 5 or 6 really good saves.
No, okay, let's get off hockey. We'll get into hockey a little bit later, you idiot. What stands out to you so far in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference besides Dallas, who has been absolutely amazing? And if they can knock off the LA Clippers, what a absolute surprise that is in the Western Conference.
Well, you have to say the Suns, too, to some extent, because, again, I know Anthony Davis was out in Game 5, but they still blew out the Lakers, too. Like, even if Anthony Davis plays, like, just with how well they played, how much points is he really going to make up in that kind of thing? The Suns were clicking on all cylinders. Devin Booker had one of the best first quarters I've ever seen in a lot of NBA games, college games. He was on fire. They had their depth play well, a lot of the veteran guys hitting shots, and they're starting to play like they were supposed to with the wing depth that they have, and Monty Williams pushing all the right buttons with the lineup decisions, not overplaying Chris Paul. Chris Paul played much of the first half, barely played in the second half, and their other guys are stepping up big. I know LeBron is there still for the Lakers. They had no Anthony Davis, but LeBron, it shows he could only do so much against that kind of team. But give credit to the Suns. They really played well when a lot of people were still counting them out, even when Anthony Davis wasn't 100%.
Josh, what do you think about so far the NBA playoffs, which has been very exciting, especially in the Western Conference? You have 3 series right now, 3 games to 2, which it shows the depth of the Western Conference and how fun the Western Conference from the Eastern Conference. I mean, the Eastern Conference with practically blowouts, 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 4-1. I mean, there was no challenge, and everybody thought Miami was going to be a challenge for the Bucks. They just flew right by them. But what were your thoughts right now so far in the first round for the Western and Eastern Conference in the NBA?
Western Conference, it's easy. It's the Utah Jazz. They got the number 1 seed. They got the home court advantage. The amount of depth that they have, Quinn Snyder's been ridiculous. He's one of the candidates to win Coach of the Year. Donovan Mitchell's playing like the superstar player that he's supposed to be. Everything is going great for Utah right now. They lost Game 1 against Memphis. The sky is falling in Utah. Everything's a problem. And then they go and they win the next 4 and they blow them out easily, right? So that's what happened there. The Eastern Conference, to me, I mean, look, is there really even that much to say about the Eastern Conference? I mean, look, the Brooklyn Nets blew out the Boston Celtics. The Hawks whooped the Knicks. I mean, right now, if Embiid doesn't play in the Eastern Conference, I mean, if he doesn't play in the second round, it's going to be Atlanta against Brooklyn, and it's going to be a cakewalk for the Brooklyn Nets. That's essentially what it's going to be, and then it's going to probably. I would love to see how Utah goes against Brooklyn, especially because Utah's going to have that home court. It's going to be a massive, massive difference in anything Brooklyn has even come close to playing at this year.
Yeah,
So
I think actually, Bucks Nets is the Eastern Conference Finals. I think whoever wins that series will win either way.
yeah, exactly. And you're right, Speed. That's a no brainer. If whoever's going to win that one they should be the winner, right? You would think so because, I mean, let's face it here. If Milwaukee beats Brooklyn, I think that can open the door kind of for either Philadelphia if Embiid is healthy, or it's going to sound crazy, but even a team like Atlanta, right? I mean, why can't Atlanta beat Milwaukee? Is it really that crazy to think that they can't go toe-to-toe with them offensively with a Trae Young and those guys after what you saw? I know the Knicks are a different complete animal than the Milwaukee Bucks are.
A huge difference.
I mean, it's a huge difference, but at the same time, Atlanta's riding momentum right now. I still think Brooklyn's going to get to the finals. I think they're going to beat Milwaukee. I still, before the playoffs started, I had Brooklyn and Utah in the finals, and that's where I stand. And I think Utah's going to win it this year, and I think the Nets will win it next year. That's where I stand with that. I think
they're going to have a better chance next year with the full season together.
Yeah, and they'll have a learning experience with them. Kind of like what Miami did the first year, right? They went to the finals against Dallas, and they lost. And then they got a learning experience, and they beat San Antonio, and they beat Oklahoma City that first championship. Then they beat the Spurs, albeit a lucky shot by Ray Allen. They beat the Spurs, and I think that's how it's going to be this year. So to me, Utah showed me something after losing game one, and everybody panicked. They whooped the Grizzlies the next 4 games.
Carl asks, is that guy for the Canadians still alive?
No, that was horrible.
I believe on a stretcher. He has a pretty bad concussion.
You got suspended 4 games, Shifley. Should have been more.
Yeah. Islanders power play to close it out. Yeah, pretty much all but the last 15
They're
seconds.
not scoring.
But yeah,
Holy Moses, negative Nancy. You're like the fan from Major League 2.
The Islanders have played how many games so far in the playoffs? How many power play goals do they have? I think they have 2 power play goals in the whole
scored. Yeah, but they scored 2 of them against Boston in game 1.
Oh, wow.
Why can't they do it again? If they score 2 in game 1, why can't they
do
it
again? How much you want to bet they don't score in this power play? How much you want to bet? So.
Well, they almost just did there.
Yeah, well, they didn't.
So they might hear.
Is not. They're not going to score in this power play.
Carl says
they pass too much. That's what they do. And
they shoot the puck wide. Like, I swear to God, everybody in NHL today, do we not know how to shoot anymore at the net? It's really ridiculous.
Well,
Carl says,
I mean, nobody's Ray Bork. Let's be real here. Nobody's Ray Bork.
Carl says, luck shot, please, Josh. I think in reference to Ray Allen. To the Ray Allen shot.
Could you spit it out, man? Also, why do you always hold up on what you say?
No. I'm not saying that the Ray Allen shot was.
I'm not talking about you idiot. I'm talking about Speedy.
No. I'm rebuttaling to the point Carl said. I'm not saying that the shot was. I'm saying Miami got lucky they won the series because of the shot by Ray Allen. If Ray Allen doesn't hit that shot, Miami loses that series.
Let's not forget the offensive rebound by Chris Bosh too.
Exactly. So as they say, puck luck in NHL. It was ball luck in the NBA for the Heat that year.
What did I tell you? They're not going to score on this power play. And this is the Islanders, and this is what the Islanders do.
It's overtime, though, man. You get a shot in overtime.
They'll get a shot.
They still got the puck in the offensive zone, so hold on now.
Maybe they'll score after the power play.
Oh, yeah, I thought they got it in there. I thought that went in.
You thought that went in, but it didn't. And again, it's going to overtime, and I bet you Boston wins in overtime. But to finish up with the NBA, I think the NBA has been very interesting throughout the season. You see Donovan Mitchell again show what he is as a player, a superstar player. He's been fighting injury all year. Denver losing Murray and Jokic being, in my book, the MVP throughout the league all season long has really carried that team. Portland with Damian Lillard. To me, I think the NBA, it's an absolute catastrophe that Damian Lillard is never up for an MVP.
He was my number 2.
I mean, he was he's been a sensational player for the last 3 years. He's been a sensational player since he's come into the league.
Can you imagine if Jamal Murray was healthy for the Nuggets?
Yeah, that would be
the opening that the Nuggets would have right now with the Lakers probably getting eliminated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference. Joel Embiid had a sensational year. Ben Simmons become Defensive Player of the Year, where everybody was talking about him being a waste. Now, he's not the offensive player everybody thought he was going to be, the number 1 pick. He's got to stay away from the Kardashians. But all in all, You look at the Eastern Conference. We've seen a lot of great things. The Hawks became a great team this year. They've been sensational. Trae Young doesn't shut up, but he showed everybody why he was traded for a guy like Luka Doncic. They were swapped for each other, and both players they look like they're going to be superstars for a very, very long time in the NBA.
Two of the best playoff performers so far of any team.
I mean, they've been sensational. Milwaukee, the Greek Freak actually played well in a series, even though teams have really, especially he was kept to the perimeter again in the series. He's figured things out. You saw the depth that Milwaukee gave the Greek Freak. Drew Holiday in the offseason was the point guard they were missing, and then they added some pieces at the trade deadline that really solidified their defense in Tucker. So I think the Milwaukee Bucks have a very good chance to knock off the Brooklyn Nets. And the Brooklyn Nets adding James Harden, where everybody was making jokes and taking shots at him. I think it was
you were one of them.
I'm still taking shots at him because giving up a significant amount for James Harden, and he only played 7 games with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That's not something to brag about. And if they don't win a championship, and they don't win a championship in the next 2 years, it's a complete failure and a catastrophe. Just like Kevin Garnett, just like Paul Pierce, and the Jet going over there to the Brooklyn Nets when they did. So. Obviously, they weren't in their prime. James Harden's in his prime, Kevin Durant's in his prime, and Kyrie Irving's in his prime. But they're expected to win, and if they don't win, Sean Marks might be looking for a new job. So you make jokes and you say whatever you want, Josh. They haven't won anything yet, and they still got to get through the Western Conference, and they still got to finish up what they need to do in this series with the Milwaukee Bucks.
What jokes did I say? I said. All I said was that we both made jokes about James Harden.
Yeah, and they haven't done anything with him.
Oh, I said, did I didn't make a joke.
But that you said you're one of the people that said that you didn't like the trade.
No, I said we. I said we.
Well, I'm telling you, I still don't like the trade because to me, you gave up their future, and you don't know if James Harden's going to bring you home a championship. And we all know what James Harden's done in the playoffs. Absolutely zero. Okay, so again. We know what Kyrie Irving can do. We know what Kevin Durant can do. They both won championships. They also played with some great players, okay? James Harden never played with the talent that they've played with. So I'm intrigued and very interested to see what these teams do now moving forward in the playoffs, especially Milwaukee, who I think if they can get out of this Brooklyn Nets series, I think they could go all the way. They could beat Utah. They could beat the Lakers with the depth that they have. They're like the Nuggets in the Eastern Conference, a tremendous amount of depth, especially on their bench. 3-point shooting and offense. They can get to the hole. They can draw fouls. They're a very good foul shooting team, and they're a good team defensively because they have one of the best defensive minds in the NBA as their coach. So
very similarly built to what you were saying with the Nuggets and the Jazz too, and probably with the Eastern Conference team that has the depth to parallel that if that ends up being the matchup. So that would definitely be very interesting. Snug says that's what she said, I guess referring to the Lillard Curry thing again. And then you don't have to shut up when you can back it up, see the Curry shimmy.
Well, there you go. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will get into some hockey. I'm surprised we haven't seen Jeff yet.
He's watching the game. You're not going to hear from him until after the game is over.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from him, and I'm sure he's having a heart attack because they were up with 3 minutes left, and then, Barzell, the most overrated player on the Islanders, does a wrap.
Lyle has no right to cheer for that goal. That scumbag. All right, he probably went through puberty when he scored the goal.
Well, I don't know about that, but he definitely hasn't gotten laid. That's for sure. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will get into some hockey. The New York Islanders and the Bruins are tied 1-1 going into overtime in game number 3, and there are a bunch of other games going on right now in the NHL. The Carolina Hurricanes down 2-0 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they are now in Tampa. What do Carolina need to do to get back in that series? When we come back, we will get onto that with our great show, the Sports Loudmouths, here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers Securities Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Feels like we're in a club now, Speedy. What, are you lost? You've never been in a club, and if you have, you were there at the club with me. As you guys know, this is the Sports Loudmouths. We are live every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can go to our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I will say this. The last couple of days have been rainy. It was a crappy holiday weekend. It was rainy. It was disgusting. It was garbagey. And now this week it's supposed to be nice. I'm actually going to be DJing at the Brookhaven Amphitheater for a 70s night. That's going to be interesting with a 70s band. So I'm definitely going to get some video. I'm going to be entertaining the fan. It is sponsored by 105.3. Which will be on 103.9 after the Islanders game on Saturday night to hear the Weekend Crunch. So that'll be interesting. Me DJing over there at the Brookhaven Amphitheater, which there's going to be over 1,000 people there. So that will be interesting to say the least. By the way, today there's been so much road work here on Long Island. Did anybody notice the road work here on Long Island?
Yes, too much. It's ridiculous because now when you're driving, rocks and pebbles come and hit your car in the glass when somebody's driving in front of you. It's ridiculous. And I'm waiting for my glass to crack one of these days.
Well, I will say this. I went to CVS today and I was looking for these. The only place you can get these candies, and they're gummy bursts. They have like this juice in the middle of it. So you can get it at a certain 7-Eleven, or you can get it at the CVS in Center Reach. And I went to Center Reach today, and I was ripping apart the gummy area of candies, trying to find it. I finally found the one bag, and I've had this like search for these candies for the last couple of weeks. I finally found them. So I enjoyed them. I finished the bag by myself, and I probably gained an extra 5 pounds. So
good, you gained you got your burst. Look at you. You got your burst of energy and the candy. I
got my energy. So I'm here doing a show with you two morons. Anyways,
we're morons. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to speak for Speedy, so
well, there you go. By the way, I go on Yahoo all the time. Do we always have to? Every time you go on the Yahoo News stuff, the first 5 stories are about the Kardashians. Every single story. Because I go and I want to look at the next story. First of all, Josh, I don't know why you question what I do. When you go on the computer, where do you go to look at news? You go to Yahoo, you go to Google News. That's where you go.
No,
so
I go on the newspapers. So.
Yeah, well, good for you. I don't have time to read the newspaper, buddy. You might, because you work as a school teacher. I don't. So what I do is I go and I go on my phone and I go to Yahoo News, and the first 5 to 6 stories are about the Kardashians. If it's not about their kid, it's not about Kanye West having a divorce with Kim Kardashian. Or
is that still going on?
Everything. I mean, the Khloe is making love to this person and that person, and you have their father, whatever his name is, Jenner. He's running for governor. I mean,
Nothing ever ends with the Kardashians, and obviously Devin Booker is now dating Kendall Kardashian. So, by the way, a 19-year-old student that graduated from college, young student, is the youngest NASA. What do they call it? NASA. What? I'm sorry.
Pilot.
No, not pilot. Astronaut that's going to go up to, I don't know, the moon or Jupiter or wherever they're heading next. So she's 19 years old. So that's something. Give a congratulations. I forgot her name. I can't actually find it because my computer is frozen. But that's a great story. A 19-year-old that's going to be going up to the moon or wherever they're heading up the next time NASA is going to fly out of orbit. So that's great news for some of these young kids that are starting to grow into their careers.
Alyssa Carson is her name.
Carson. So there you go. 19 years old. Amazing young girl that is going to have the opportunity to go up and see the planet and go and look at the moon and all that other stuff. So and she'll obviously see that the Earth isn't flat. Okay. Thank you, Kyrie, for giving us that information. Anyways, I want to get into some hockey conversation. The New York Islanders and the Boston Bruins going to overtime 1-1. Lyle is over there. We have not heard from Jeff, so Jeff probably has his tail between his legs because if the Boston Bruins lose this overtime game, that's 2 games in a row, losing it to the same team, which could cost them the series. But what are your guys' thoughts of so far this series? I think it's a hard, gut-wrenching series, and you see arguably 2 of the hardest hitting teams in the playoffs still. What are these teams' chances if they can get out of this round?
It's strong because of the physicality with the Bruins and the Islanders. I think on paper, the talent of Tampa and Carolina is better, but Carolina hasn't played well yet at all. And the Lightning might just be that juggernaut, but the Bruins and the Islanders are way more physical than both of those teams. And it was expected to be, not only with their defense and with their defensive system, though, with the forwards too. They have forwards that can hit and do a lot of different things with that. We've always known that with the Bruins, but especially now with the Islanders with Trotz's system.
All right, we have our first caller of the day. I was waiting for him to call. It's not the Beeve. It's Jeff from Tampa. What's going on, Jeff?
Tail between my legs. Go get screwed, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, I knew I could get him.
Dude, I'm out with friends. I'm hanging out. I'm having fun.
I know.
And I just get home so I can catch overtime. And you're like, oh, tail between his legs. I'm actually just trying to find it on the network. Yeah, I've had
NBC Sports.
A few beverages.
Okay, NBC Sports. So if
I'm trying to find it.
It's not on USA. I think the Tampa's game is on USA.
Yep.
So, but it's on the NBC Sports radio sports channel. So, but Jeff, what I mean, Boston was playing great defense. It was the third period, 3 minutes left, and they gave up a wraparound goal to the overrated player in Barzal. What are your thoughts with Boston?
The overrated player. Well, here's the question of the night, Errol.
Mm-hmm.
Is Matt Barzal more overrated than Jason?
Here we go.
We need the Barzal representative to come in for that one.
Shut up, Speedy. I'm still pissed at you. When you you were wrong about anything ever, then you can speak. Until then, it's the Josh and Errol show. Hello, Josh.
Hi, Jeff.
I think to me, both players are underrated. I think Barzal we'll never see Barzal's potential until the Islanders find players that actually can play with him, talented players that can actually. By the way, Barzal's problem in this series and throughout the playoffs, you've seen it. He doesn't shoot the puck enough. He doesn't shoot the puck enough. And finally he shoots the puck, he scores. This was a problem against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if he doesn't start shooting, this could be a very quick series because he is a big, important part of this offense. And if he's not scoring, he's not facilitating offensively, they don't have a chance, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, listen. What I would say would definitely be, you would take umbrage to for sure. I think Boston's the better team. I think they have
absolutely
more high-end talent. I think that doesn't always, and I get it, doesn't necessarily mean the better team wins.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at both teams, I think the Islanders would love to have Pasta or Bergeron or Marchand or any of those guys on the team. I don't think any Islanders fans would be like, oh, I don't want that guy on my team. right? So I would just say I think the Bruins are the better team. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win, but you're correct. Barzal should shoot more. I think he's hampering his potential by not shooting more.
Josh, your thoughts to Barzal, the overrated player? I mean, the Islanders, who's going to be important in this overtime? I think the fourth line, you're going to see a lot of the fourth line for the New York Islanders. You're going to see a lot of the first line of the Boston Bruins, who are electrifying and arguably the best line in all of hockey. What are your thoughts? What do the Islanders need to do? And what do the Boston Bruins need to do? Boston Bruins lost game number 2 in overtime at home. Could they pay the favor back to the New York Islanders in game 3?
Well, first off, the comment is still the stupidest comment we've had. Well, one of them on this freaking show. I mean, the fact to say that Matthew Barzal is overrated is just nonsensical and stupid. All right.
Well, it's your friend, Josh. You figure him out.
Oh, dude, I've lost track of trying to figure him out since I met the kid. Okay. I gave up after the second time we hung out. I said, dude, you're lost. But anyway, that's besides the point. He's still lost. They got to stay the course, the Islanders. Play physical. Be what you've been. Don't change what you've been all season. The physicality, it's, you know what I mean? You've seen it this game. That second period by the Islanders was so physical of them. It was insane. And we talked about how I thought Boston would be the more physical team in the series. It's so evenly matched and it's so tight. And that's why the game is so close. You get, obviously, Tuukka Rask is having a ridiculous game. But you also got to think
the game, by the way.
Arrow's not going to give him credit.
No.
But Semyon Varlamov has had and Jeff, would you say Varlamov's had a good game tonight?
Would I say he's had a good game?
Yeah, Varlamov.
He has 38 saves. So
again, the Bruins are. This is the thing with the Islanders, right? They only have a goaltender. And when I say that, and I realize Islander fans are going to get butthurt when I say that, right? Oh, they're almost getting outshot again 2-1.
Yeah.
Every night they're getting outshot 2-1. If they don't have a good goaltender, there's zero chance that they're in any. They would have gotten taken out in the first series. Tristan Jarry withstanding, right? And Tristan Jarry's terrible, but this series, when you're like, oh, they're two evenly matched teams. They're not.
No, they're not. They're not. It's not close.
Every team on the planet outshoots them 2-1.
Yeah.
They're only relying on their goaltender. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, and you're going to go, oh, you're only saying that because you're a Bruins fan. Dude, that's only going to take you so far. You can't get outshot 2-1 every night.
No, they can. And the Islanders are going to have to figure this out because in the last 2 series, they're just giving up too many shots. Thank God the Islanders defense, they're knocking away the rebounds. There's not many rebounds, but when you have the Bruins come out and they keep coming up and down the ice, they're getting at least one shot every single time they come up and down the ice. And you're coming up and down the ice 3, 4, 5 times every minute. That's 4 or 5 shots. So you're getting outshot by 39-24 right now, and they both have one goal. You're not going to win series, especially if they get out of this series. I don't know.
You can only be physical for so long. You know what I mean? It's only so long before your body just heals up.
Playoffs. We've seen this before.
You could be physical for a whole playoffs because different guys can get more physical game.
But physicality doesn't matter because the Bruins
going to wear you down.
Hits on Islanders as Islanders have on Bruins.
That's true.
The hits are going both ways, but this is what Islanders fans do. They point out, the hits.
What a save!
Oh, we have so many hits. Dude, the hits are even. Both teams are hitting. So if you're relying on hits and that's even, what's the difference maker? Shots on net.
Yep.
Speaking of shots on net, Carl asks, why does Beauvillier refuse to shoot? All he does is pass. He also said Nassau Coliseum, Nassau Community College. It's interesting. A lot of the Islanders, it seemed like they have that problem. Errol was talking about Barzal. Errol was talking about Barzal, but a lot of the other Islanders too, they're better with the tougher goals right in front of the net. But in terms of raw snipers, yes, Carl, they definitely need to shoot a lot more.
Absolutely do. And I think it's a huge problem right now for the New York Islanders because you're playing a Boston Bruin team. They're just throwing the puck at the net, and and that's what they're good at. And eventually they're going to give up a rebound. The Islanders are one of the most highest rated teams right now, especially the goaltenders, of giving up rebounds. They don't.
I want to say this: Barzal is shooting a lot more, which is something you want to see as an Islander fan. Because let's be realistic here. Before this game, that was the biggest knock on him, right? He was trying to find pass. He had it was a 2-on-1. He should have shot the goal back in the first period. He should have shot it. He tried to find Eberle, and it went off the skate of McAvoy. And you see something like that, you as the guy, you need to shoot that puck. You have to. And I think now that he got that goal, it's going to give him confidence. You're seeing it now. He shot it before in overtime. He's not looking for the pass anymore. Now he's just going to shoot. He's going to say, screw this. I'm not waiting for my teammates. I'm going to take the initiative here.
Well, you're watching right now. The Islanders are dominating this overtime right now, but that doesn't matter. I think the Boston Bruins haven't really taken their foot on the gas yet. But I think Boston's very dangerous, and I think that the Islanders look very comfortable. And when they usually feel very, very comfortable, then there's a 2-on-1 or there's a breakaway with these their top liner with Pasco or Marchand or any of these players. And that first line is just...
Well, you could go back to game 2. The Bruins dominated that overtime. All it took was a bad bounce off of a skate, and then the Islanders skated down and scored a goal. So, I mean, listen, it's the age-old rule in overtime. No shot is a bad shot in overtime, and any of them can go in. We're in a coin flip situation with the Bruins and the Islanders.
Right. And that's what scares me, because when it comes to talent, especially with the two lines, the more talented team as far as our offense is concerned is the Boston Bruins. And that's what scares me.
Don't say that. That's blasphemy.
The Bruins
what happened?
By the way, Varlamov gave up a very bad goal. So there you go, Josh. So you know, Josh, Varlamov gave up a terrible, horrendous goal.
He tried to catch it with his glove. I don't know.
It was horrendous. So shut up with this Varlamov thing. He ruined the game. He cost the Islanders a win. The Bruins win game number 3. Told you, bro, Varlamov should not be in net. I'm telling you.
And by the way, I called in before,
and it was Marchand.
We haven't heard from Jeff, and this wasn't a. Oh, now I'm calling to gloat. I mean, I'm going to gloat, but I called in before the gloat time.
Did I tell you this was going to happen? The Islanders are dominating, and we haven't seen the Bruins put the foot on the pedal. As soon as they put their foot on the pedal, they come down there and they throw the puck at the net, and Varlamov gives up a horrendous goal. Let's look at it. Horrendous goal. All right. A horrendous goal. Oh, is Varlamov playing well, Jeff? Cost the Islanders a game. Go watch this shot.
Hold on. Yes, that's a terrible goal.
Terrible goal. Look at that goal.
Hold on, Errol. Hold on. Can we talk about puck luck? Maybe the Bruins had a little bit of puck luck tonight, right? That one goes in. Would you consider the Islanders' goal in overtime puck like lucky?
Let me tell you something, Jeff. That was a horrendous goal. That is a horrendous goal. You do not give a goal that, first of all, he had no angle to shoot the puck. He just threw the puck at the net. He threw the puck at the net. And by the way, he didn't cut down the angles right. Varlamov is not the goalie. And you know what he's going to do? This is what this moron's going to do. And I love Barry Trotz. He's going to start Varlamov again in game number 4.
And he did have 40 saves in the game.
Who cares how many saves? He gave up the goal that cost him the game, you idiot. It's terrible. And I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. So good luck. And
I'm an idiot. You're
but wouldn't you say the Islanders got a lucky on their winning goal?
That's fine, Jeff. That doesn't matter.
Hold on, but luck in a series goes both ways.
Yeah. Varlamov stinks.
Yes or no?
Yeah, but Varlamov stinks. I'm not a Varlamov fan.
But this is just you with an axe to grind because you don't like this guy, so you're going to say something about
a guy. First of all, your young goaltender who was 4-0 in the first round, lost the first game, and you pull him, after one game. After he was the reason why you won the first round, he completely shut down the Pittsburgh Penguins, and you pulled him. I tell you this. Sorokin wouldn't have given up that goal. I guarantee you he wouldn't have given up that goal.
How many? Let me ask you a question, Errol. Yeah. How many goals has Sorokin given up in this series?
5.
He gave up 5 goals in the first game.
He did not, actually, but good for you.
Well, 4 goals. It was 4 goals. He gave up.
How many goals has Varlamov given up in this series?
Varlamov gave up how many goals the first game he played?
3.
3.
And then this
And
game 2.
5. He's given up 5.
So he's played 60 plus 1. I don't know how long that was.
You're due to have one bad game, and Sorokin had a bad game. And by the way, you were talking about lucky goals. Two out of the goals of those 4 goals that he gave up, one banged off his player's stick into the net, Pulak's stick, and one banged off a foot of the Bruins, deflected off a skate of the Bruins. So if you want to say that, 2 out of the 3.
But there was another one. The overtime one was a good pass that deflected off a skate and bounced perfectly to Zizekas. Yes. That's puck luck. That's what happens. That's what happened tonight. Puck luck.
Can't make excuses.
Like, I'm not gloating and going, oh, the Bruins did just such a marvelous job and they were better. Dude, tonight, lucky Bruins win. The Islanders had it in overtime, but guess what? Game 2, the Bruins dominated overtime and they lost. Like sometimes you got to look at those and give credit where credit is due, right?
I'm just pissed off because if I see Varlamov in the net,
I understand why you're pissed. I understand why you're pissed. You're an Islanders fan.
No,
you just watch them lose, and that's
not why I'm pissed. I'm pissed off because I knew that Varlamov was going to give a goal up that was going to cost them the game, and he did. He gave up a bad goal that cost them the game.
How is that an icing on
while you're standing, like while you're here. And you're like, we haven't heard from Jeff and he's cowering. Now I want to hear you say, we haven't heard from Lyle and he's cowering.
I'm sure we're gonna hear from Lyle.
No, we won't. No, we won't. I bet you we don't.
I'm gonna call him. We have our special guest, Jeff. Call back after we get Chaz online, okay, bud?
You got it.
Thank you, Jeff from Tampa. He is not gloating, that's for sure. But I'm pissed off. I am really pissed off. And I'm going to say it again. If Sorokin was in the net, that would have never happened. I'm just telling you. And Sorokin would have had just as good a game as Varlamov did. I mean, seriously, you're not going to see Sorokin for the rest of this series. You're going to see Varlamov, and Varlamov. And I can't wait until the season is over so we don't have to see Varlamov again. Okay. When we come back, we will have second half of our show. Well, the second half of our show, we're going to have Chaz from the betting show on our network here on the Sports Loudmouths.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
What? I'm pissed off, ladies and gentlemen. Not very happy. Okay? And Josh with his stupid smirk on his damn face makes me sick to my stomach. Islanders.
You're angry. It's funny.
Varlamov, you stink. Anyways, as you guys know, we are live every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. We are the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Homer Silverberg.
Oh, here we go now with the nicknames. Now we're doing
remember, you can call 965-4990. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Go to iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. How many times do we have to tell you when we're moving away from the music, you cannot speak because we are mellowing you out in the sound? Why would you speak? Because you're Josh Homer Silverberg. Anyways, we have our special guest. Obviously, he's over there in Texas. He wanted to come on the show. We're happy to have him from Sports Betting Weekly, the host of Sports Betting Weekly, Chaz Filardi. What's going on, Chaz?
I feel so naked with my green screen gone.
Well, if you want.
However, I can wear my Sports Betting Weekly shirt. So when I got the green screen, I think I told you guys this story. I hadn't worn the green screen. I hadn't had the green screen up for like 2 years, and I wore my other stuff. But I put this on, and all of a sudden I was just a floating head. Woo! And you know what? We're going to end up trying to propose a show for the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The floating head. We'll figure it out. It was pretty funny. Actually.
Well, if you're going to call it the floating head, you might as well put Josh's head as the floating head.
Yes, he's just so upset because I smirked because of something after he called me a homer. So that's the only reason why.
And again, don't get me wrong. That homer term can be taken many different ways. Think how Marge took it in The Simpsons. She didn't like it either.
No, Chaz, I know what he means by it. And it's, you know what? It's okay. He's upset. I'm not even offended by it.
Josh,
It is what
a fan, right? When you call a guy a fan, technically you're calling him a fanatic. So you know what? If you got what it takes to do what you got to do, you that bounces off of you, sticks to him. You know,
love it, Chaz. Love it.
It bops off of me, or it bangs off of me, or it smacks off of me because the Islanders decided to play a goaltender who barely has played the last 2 weeks, last week of the season. He played like garbage. He gave up a terrible goal against the Pittsburgh Penguins and 2 bad goals against the Penguins.
Arrow, that's what you're saying, right? But I'm watching and I'm saying, this son of a gun got him to overtime. And 1 goal he gave up. You're bad-mouthing a guy that if you had the under, you are gold.
I don't bet on sports. People could say whatever they want, but I did predict the Islanders to lose in overtime right then and there, especially the way they were playing. And why not give up a terrible non-scoring chance like that? And that's something that Varlamov does game in and game out. I wasn't surprised that Varlamov gave up a terrible goal that made the Islanders lose. So there you go. So, Chaz, what would you like to talk about, bud?
Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking, I know Petey does a lot of work of getting commercials and stuff. Between you two guys, there's got to be some kind of marriage counselor guy that's looking to advertise that you could get for the show, man.
You should have heard the show yesterday. That's what you should have heard. Oh, my God.
Well, I check you out. I listen all the time. Here's the thing. I've never been on before. Not that you haven't asked me. We just haven't had the time. And, of course, the weird situation with me being in Houston. But now that technically I'm a loudmouth this week, that could be the nicest thing my wife calls me in the next 3 weeks. So I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, man. I mean, this show with a bunch of loudmouths. We have Jeff that calls the show. He's a loudmouth. Everybody that calls the show is a loudmouth. And that's what the fans, the reason why we call this the sports loudmouths is because we're loud and we want the fans to be loud and we want the fans to have a voice. And that's why.
If you have an opinion, right? Whether you're right or wrong, it's your opinion. And if you don't have the Paulines to go loud on it, then don't have your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the fans, Snug says Bruins win. Ben says, ouch. Carl says Paul Mary's look was priceless. Oh, no. Snug says he's mad because the Islanders are still the Islanders. Mm-hmm. Ben says, yup. Carl says Jokic with 36. And Ben says yesterday was amazing. Carl says Denver closes it out. Snug says, I'm not going to lie. I love the Josh smirk. It's quite charming. And Carl says, tell that to Mark, Chaz.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, God.
So, Chaz, why don't we go into some of the stuff that you do and tell the fans a little bit about you before we get into some of your betting lines and who you have with the Lakers tonight.
We got 3 guys on here besides me. Have any of you ever driven cross country?
I have.
No.
It's brutal.
Mm-hmm. The frozen is Florida, probably.
You did that with a bad deck?
Oh, no. I actually drove all the way to Canada from here, which is like 12 hours, and we drove in a snowstorm. I'll never do it again because there's no railings. You have all these truck drivers driving behind you. It's snowing. There's a blizzard. It was a terrible move by me, and it was at the end of the winter. It was practically the springtime, and we go into a blizzard. We move into a blizzard all the way to Toronto. It was the biggest mistake I ever made, and my girlfriend, she was this was before her neck surgery. She was in so much pain, so I drove both ways and didn't stop. There was no stopping. So I was like a zombie after going back and forth to Canada. So yes, I've driven all over the place.
You literally just described our trip. Take out snowstorm and put in Gulf of Mexico thunderstorm. Now, I grew up on the East Coast, and I'm going to see you guys in a couple weeks. Pretty excited about that, actually.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you, when it comes off the Gulf of Mexico, it's a whole different storm. It was raining like it wasn't even buckets. Whatever's bigger than buckets. It was what it was raining. You know?
It was raining the amount of water that comes out of a water slide.
Oh my God, it was just crazy. So we're excited because of the fact that I've never met you guys.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to shaking your hand, man.
Well, you don't want to meet Speedy because he might scare you away, and Josh will probably talk you to sleep. So
me and Earl will yell at you so much you'll want to walk out. You'll hear him from Houston.
Hey, Kyle, when I couldn't find Kyle's Facebook page or whatever, one of the social media apps, and it was because he didn't shave. It was his last,
that was
last summer.
That was my Facebook.
I didn't even recognize him.
Pick for a while.
Well, if you go to Speedy's Twitter account, he's always talking to girls.
Always
reach out to girls. They don't really respond to him, but
guys, go to his page. Go to the like section. Every single thing is a woman's picture, and it's like a woman flaunting something. Oh, it's my birthday. Oh, it's a holiday. And Speedy's like, oh, happy birthday.
I saw a girl today wearing a shirt that said, I'm the girl you're looking for. They're the one, the girl you heard about. So maybe we need to get Petey a custom T-shirt.
Oh, he needs more custom T-shirt.
No, the worst is when the girl answers him. Errol and I have had this conversation with him. The girl will answer him on Twitter. And he won't respond back.
Like
you put all that work in.
It's not easy sometimes, though. In his defense, it's not easy.
Cash,
but the beauty of it is,
him, man, she's giving it to you. She answered you. Give it back.
Well, and all he has to do is he could ask you guys what he should say, and for sure,
no, you don't want to ask all that.
What he says, he needs to do it to his body. It's called shave his undercarriage. That's something he needs to do.
I saw a great Manscaped commercial today. There you go. Errol, you know what we need to do? We need to have a WW. So when you go to championshipfootballs.com, is the reason we're in Houston. You when you cash it out, whatever your shopping cart is, whatever you're buying, when you check out, you type in WW, right? Worldwide Sports Radio there. Just the initials, WW Worldwide Sports Radio there. So WWSRN, and you get a discount. We'll create a custom promo code for you guys.
Mm-hmm. How about this Harry Balls for Speedy? If you put in Harry Balls.
You know what? You want to keep it less than like 6 characters. So can you? I don't know how you would do balls in less than 6 characters.
One of the guys at my college radio station, we had a fantasy football league. He actually named his team Big Smelly Harry Balls.
Oh God!
Maybe that's
great for a fantasy team. Not so much for a promo code. You know
No, not so much for a promo code.
But yeah, so we're here in Houston, and we get the double dip. So we will tell everybody that we talk to, not only that there's a football with your name on it, but that you got to tune in to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and we'll have them download the app right there at our booth.
Absolutely.
I love what you say on your show. Worth the weight in Bitcoin with the app.
Well, here's the thing. On our show, when you come to Sports Betting Weekly on Thursday, we don't even introduce ourselves. The first thing we say, okay, open up your account. First of all, don't start watching our show without money in your account. You got to have money in your sports betting account, or you got to be at the casino where they have sports betting, and then you got to listen to us because every single week we win. But remember, it's not just me, and I like second halves, hence the name. But I got a guy from Sports Consultants and another guy from Sports Investing. So these guys are really, really good at what they do. But we've had some nights where we played. I love the audio, the worldwide sports radio, and that whatever that's called, that little clip.
A drop.
And 7 minutes later, you were cashing tickets. So that's the thing, Kyle. That's why we say it. If you watch our show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, it's worth its weight in Bitcoin, because mostly right now, if you're online, Bitcoin is kind of how you do sports betting. You know?
Well, I got a couple of them.
By the way, Slug says, watch out, Earl will throw things at you and yell if you leave trash in the studio.
You're damn right.
Carl, I did not shave for my dog. Nice try. Snug says, is Speedy's dog ever on Twitter? Yes, I have posted the pictures of my dog.
The same dog that you let lick your ass?
Yes.
Oh,
by accident. Chaz, don't let him fool you. It was by accident.
Chaz,
don't let him
He
fool
is
you.
not going to admit that his dog, he's telling us that his dog opened up the door when it was closed.
Yes,
Opened up the door
barged in
while he was naked and actually licked his ass. Okay. All right. And he says it was an accident. I think it was
Chaz's reaction.
Well, I know a couple screenwriters, and I'm writing notes.
His mouth was already open before the story even happened.
Not long enough.
That could be a sitcom episode, no doubt about it.
Chaz, it's not long enough for a movie. It was 1 minute. But okay.
You let that happen for a minute, Speedy? I thought it was like 10 seconds. Jesus, let that happen for a minute?
Well, no, I think what he meant to say.
I was surprised.
He was surprised.
That was all the peanut butter that was left. I think that's what he was meant to say. That was all the peanut butter that was left.
I just woke up. I wasn't eating.
Oh my God.
That's not what he meant. He meant you had peanut butter in your ass and it was licking it. Okay.
Dude,
no.
This story's
That
changing.
Kyle, I was making a bad movie reference. Is what I was doing. I don't know what movie, but I remember being.
He's gonna say I dropped something and I had to bend over.
It was changing.
Who lets his dog lick his ass for a minute? Speedy.
I didn't.
That's a long time.
Josh,
Thing lasted. I'm licking it.
Josh, do you bet at all on sports?
Occasionally I do. It's tougher in New York, obviously, so that's why I usually will. Sometimes like I because my brother lives in Jersey. So I usually will throw things like his way and do it all that way. It's obviously they haven't legalized it in New York yet. They're going to. They should. I mean, they're stupid not to.
Soon.
No, I mean I'm in California. I could buy 2 8s, so it's a quarter of wacky. I forget the name of it, but it's like a purple tinted marijuana for $55. Okay, it's got a fancy name. It's $30 an eighth, but if I buy 2, they give me the discount. So I'm at the dispensary, and the guy says to me, you have store credit. Do you want to use your store credit or you want to let it ride? And I said, listen, I'm old. The last thing I want is my wife to have to deal with me dying and my 2 sons fighting over my marijuana dispensary store credit. So I used it right then. But I can't bet on the Lakers tonight, you know?
Well, let's get into that, Chaz. Who do you have for the Lakers game tonight?
Well, first I got to tell you what I had this afternoon. I got to the sushi bar because we're in Houston, so we're eating out every meal, and I had the over in the Denver-Portland game. And the first score I saw, I was already winning, and I can't tell you how cool a feeling it is when you're sitting down at a sushi bar, and they haven't brought you your Sapporo or your hot sake, and you already cashed tickets. It's just a great feeling.
Very interesting, and obviously Chaz is very good at the high points of his betting. I think he was a couple of weeks ago. You told me you were 13-2 or something like that.
I had some really good runs. We have this program we created. So we paid this guy to put together the numbers for us. And what it does, it pulls every single sports betting line. So tonight it would have the first quarter, the first half, the second half in the game lines. And it would have the over and unders and everything. And then what we do is we analyze that data. And it really, if you think about it, it's common sense. So let's look at the Yankees. The Yankees weren't scoring any runs for how many games in a row? So all of a sudden, but guess what? Because they're the Yankees, you're still getting minus 190 and minus 200. So if you're betting their team total under and you're betting the other team, you're making out like a bandit. So a lot of what the Easy Sports Data program that we created does is it just tells you this is what's happening. But when it's happening, guys, for 9, 10, 11 games in a row, and you know with baseball, they go away and they come home. But when it's the last 6 at home, the last 11 overall, that's something that is a problem that's systemic. Or if you look at the Toronto Blue Jays with the way they're scoring runs, it's a good thing. So that's kind of what we do. We sit around and we wait for opportunities, and we do it on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And the last show we did, it took you 7 minutes to win. And if you don't have 7 minutes, you got some issues.
Well, we have our Chaz, you're on, and we have our second call of the day. Good friend of mine. We call him Eric, the know-it-all Martini. Eric, what's going on, my friend?
I have a question. I have a really important question.
Here we go.
Seriously.
Okay.
Does anyone think for 1 second that if Julio Jones went to the Seahawks, that crappy team would be any better?
And I knew he was going to do this because I saw him today.
Listen. Let me explain something.
Stop clapping. He's going to take your side because he saw what happened to you yesterday.
No, listen. Am I wrong or am I right? That pass defense last year wasn't good. It was atrocious.
They still were ranked 13th in defense throughout.
They were horrible.
Yeah.
They were bad.
Horrible? Why were they ranked 13th?
At the bottom of the barrel with pass defense.
It doesn't matter. They were ranked 13th, Eric.
What did you hear for this, Chaz?
Yeah, but the team wasn't balanced. They had a good offense.
Hold on. They weren't balanced. I did this with I did this with Speedy again. 9th in offense, 11th in special teams, and 13th in defense. If that's not balanced, I don't know what is.
Let me tell you, at the end of the year, you better look at those numbers for the pass defense.
Go look at it. It doesn't.
At the end of the year was
Listen,
awful.
I'm looking at all around defense, and they were ranked 13th all around. So
I guarantee you, if that team, gets Julio Jones, they will not win a Super Bowl. Guaranteed.
Guarantee you.
Gosh.
They got Julio Jones, buddy.
I'm out of this one, Chaz.
No, my agent told me if I come on the show, we wouldn't be talking about any teams from the Northwest, and I think you signed off on that. So what's going on here?
You might have been right. That might have been Arrow freaking my signature.
I will say this, and Carl says balanced 9th, 11th, and 13th, dude. They're absolutely balanced. And as far as I'm concerned, if Julio Jones goes to Seattle, I guarantee on Vegas, and you can vouch for me on this, Jazz, they'll go from 25-1 underdog to a 10-1 favorite to win a Super Bowl. They'll be a top 3 favorite to win a Super Bowl. When you have DK Metcalf, Lockett, and then you add Julio Jones to that offense, you're talking about a prolific offense we haven't seen in a very, very long time. I don't even remember the last time you've seen 3 top wide receivers like that.
Let me just read this. The Seahawks have allowed 309.8 passing yards per game and ranked dead last in the NFL in total passing yards allowed.
Okay.
3,717.
Okay.
So through the first half of 2020, their pass defense was statistically the worst in NFL history.
Hey, Eric, I got a question. I have a question for you. Green Bay Packers all these years with their terrible defense. How far did they get? How did they go? How far did they go? They went to the NFC title game last year, a couple of years ago, where they had the worst defense in NFL history. Their secondary was horrible. They went all the way to the NFC title game, and they were one play away from going to the Super Bowl. So tell me why they did it with a great quarterback, and they don't have nearly the offensive firepower that Seattle has. So please explain to me.
Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, that receiver that he has is incredible. He doesn't make the receiver. That receiver.
They've got 3 of those guys: DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then Julio Jones. Are you nuts? I mean, who's going to stop them? You got to go with one guy. I'm sorry.
You're asking for Jeff to call back.
It's still staying. Defense isn't that good.
Defense isn't that good.
Offense can't play defense.
There are a lot of teams that don't have great defenses that have gone to the Super Bowl. I didn't say they were going to win, but they're a competitive offensive team. And I'm telling you right now.
Let me ask you a question. How's Devontae Adams doing for Aaron Rodgers?
What do you mean? How is he doing? What do you mean?
He's an incredible receiver, one of the very best in football.
Okay, so you have Devontae Adams. Who do they have besides Devontae Adams to throw to?
What I'm trying to say.
Who do they have besides Devontae Adams to throw to? Please answer my question.
All I know is that he's incredible.
I'm asking you a question. Who do they have besides Devontae Adams to throw to?
My point is,
you can't answer it because they don't. You don't know the other guys.
The point I'm trying to make is that the Seahawks are not an overall good all-around team. They're not.
Okay, that's half the teams in the NFL. That's half the teams in the NFL.
That's called not balanced.
Here's the balance. Numbers show you that they're balanced. 9th, 11th, and 13th. That is balanced. How do you not think that's balanced? That is balanced. You can't get any balance.
They will not win a Super Bowl with Julio Jones.
I didn't say they will win a Super Bowl. I said they could still go far. They're a favorite to win a Super Bowl. You add Julio Jones, you're moving up 3-4 spots in Vegas. Chaz, am I right or wrong? Right or wrong, Chaz?
Hey, Errol, why would a team trade a guy like that? Why would they get rid of him? What's going on? Because I've been busy selling footballs. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something. I suppose none of you ever heard of a man named Tom Brady that owns the NFC.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to go with Tom Brady. We're going to go with Tom Brady.
As long as Tom Brady is on that team, that all those other NFC teams aren't going anywhere.
That was probably, first of all, that was probably one of the smartest things you just said in your whole conversation. That's one. Number two, Tom Brady, do you know how hard it is to win back-to-back Super Bowls? The last team to do it was the Patriots, and that was like, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Even just going to back-to-back in the NFC, it's very hard.
Yeah, that's like 20
So what you're saying is Tom Brady knows how to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
He was the last one to do it 20 years
ago. He knows how to do it. No one else knows how to do it, but he does.
Yeah, but he also did it with the deflate. He did it with also.
I talked to a guy today who told me that Tampa Bay to win it all.
For a man named Zach Wilson that's going to take over that league, baby.
Are you gonna let your dog lick your ass just like Speedy did?
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm excited for the Jets. Okay, I'm very excited, Zach Wilson. Okay, I don't know if everyone on the no one. Let me just refresh. Let me tell everyone a story here.
Oh,
okay?
Here we go.
Okay. Back in the year 2020, November, sitting with Mr. Errol Marks in an Applebee's.
Here we go.
And I told Mr. Marks that Zach Wilson, he looks incredible. You watch it. I have a funny feeling he's going to be a Jet. No, he's not. He's not going to be a Jet. It's impossible. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence. There's no way. There's no way Zach Wilson goes 1 or 2. It's impossible.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I just had to throw it out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your call, my friend.
All right. Everyone have a fantastic night. Okay. And remember, okay, Julio Jones will not help out.
Keep Molly's beak out of your ass and go.
All right, get out of here. I'll talk to you later, guys. All right, John Cena for president.
Just so you know, guys, Applebee's has the best house salad of any chain. Well, there's like 19 things in their house salad. Most people, it's lettuce and croutons, you know?
Good to know in the 0.0001% chance I'll ever order a salad at Applebee's.
Don't they still have the 3 for 20 thing or whatever they got still going on the Applebee's thing? They got the promotion still. They got the 2 for 20.
Well, we always sit at the bar, and I ordered a salad one time, and I've been ordering ever since. It's got like 19 things in it.
Well, Chaz, I will say I'll tell you this. Eric, who just got off the phone, is very into the tossed salads. So if you want to take him to a place that has very good tossed salad, he's definitely on the level of Speedy Petey. So there you go. and by the way, you asked me why they would trade a player like Julio Jones. Julio Jones wants out, and he wants to win a championship. And the two favorites to get him is the Seattle Seahawks and the Tennessee Titans. We'll probably find out in the next 24 hours where he's heading.
Yeah, I think we talked about that one Saturday night on the DCs. How many people's lives changed when Atlanta blew that Super Bowl?
A lot of people, including yours truly, listening to this guy. I actually was in this kid's house, and he was doing the worm when Tom Brady won. And this is a Jets fan, and he roots on Tom Brady. I can't stand when I watch him play, when Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl and listen to this guy, Tom Brady.
Although I did like the time he compared you to Eugene. That was funny.
He was just being the smartest. I look nothing like Eugene, first of all, and he's a moron, okay? And then you heard me, go let your dog lick your ass, by the way. But
he's the John Cena for president.
There you go.
There you go. I would have said Dwayne Johnson. That would have been my other ticket.
Go ahead, Chaz. This is your on, and I want you to have the table. So here you go.
Well, what I try to do is I try to help people. Listen, I tell people, they ask me, I'm thinking of sports betting. What should I do? And I say, don't start. Okay. It's going to break your heart. It's like the girl you can never have. The girl in high school that you want, you're never going to get. That's what sports betting does. It breaks your heart. But if you're going to do it, you know what you want to do? You want to cash tickets. Because if you're cashing tickets, the first ticket of the day is important because then you're playing with house money. The last ticket of the day is important because now you got money to buy the date that you took to the sports betting, and she hasn't talked to you all day because all you were doing was watching the games. At least you got money to buy her dinner or something. At Applebee's with the salad, they got a great salad. Did I mention that?
No, you did.
Yes, you did. You're high praise into the tossed salad.
It's a house salad. It's not a tossed salad.
I know you like the word tossed, Speedy.
By the way, Carl says, who is this chump? I think referring to Eric. Snug says, the greatest show on turf. Look at their passing offense cancels out, Eric. This guy is miserable. This is Speedy with a little deeper voice. Snug says, the hot dog guy, Speedy's dog, Kevin the intern. There's a weapon pass. Carl says, please hang up on this buffoonery. Ben says, I'll be walking before Brady goes back to back. Snug says, I let Zach Wilson's mom give me a lick. Carl says, this guy loves to ask questions but refuses to answer any. Snug says, this caller's very interesting. Carl says, tossed salad and dark sausage, yikes. Snug says, all you need is to win a Super Bowl is a goat. Carl says, calm down, Smeedy. And Applebee's tossed salad, got it.
Well, anyway, just so you know, I looked it up while you were talking. The Seahawks are 25-1 to win the Super Bowl, and Atlanta is 66-1.
So where does that rank overall in terms of the entirety?
Yeah, you know what? 25 is in the middle. 66 is on the high end. Who's the favorite? Who do you think the favorite is, guys?
I think Kansas City was the favorite last time I checked.
Yeah, probably 4 or 5-1, right?
I think it was the Chiefs, Buccaneers, and the Browns. I think were top 3 or something.
Wow, look at the Green Bay Packers. Wow. Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Their doors blown off already.
Tampa Bay is pretty close to number one. Kansas City's number one. Tampa Bay is second, and the Packers and Baltimore are pretty low. You know what? I'm not sure about the Packers. Who's their quarterback's going to be? What do you guys think?
Why? Yeah, that's somehow because that's going to make us split even. Because there's probably a lot of people in Vegas who think, all right, maybe he will get traded, and other people that say, nah, he's definitely getting traded. I can't bet on them on being a favorites for a Super Bowl. Nevertheless, the NFC as a whole.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the road trip. You know, as you know, Errol, I don't know about when you were driving with your girlfriend. I was driving with my older son who knows sports as good as I do. You can talk an awful lot when you're driving for 20-something freaking hours. and one of the things that we talked about is that the when you deal with winning it all, I mean, there's only one team that's going to host that trophy. That's it. I mean, and really, when you bet future bets like that, you know, you're really throwing that money out there for 7, 8, 9. If you go in August to Vegas and you bet a future bet on a Super Bowl, which is in February, that's a lot of time that you don't have that money to do anything with.
Very interesting. Well, Chaz, we're going to keep you on, but we also have another guest that's going to be joining in the conversation from Alabama, the great and powerful Mark Everett Kelly. What's going on, Mark?
Mark, you're muted.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We are good, man. We have Chaz.
I can't hear you, Arrow.
Oh, you don't hear us? Well, it's something on your end. There's something on your end, bud. I don't know.
I can't hear you.
It's something on your end.
Let's all do our favorite sign language.
On your end. It's not.
I want another drink.
I can't hear you.
Speedy, just explain to him that it's on his end. It's not on our end.
Bring me the check. Bring me the check.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, there you go.
Like the Verizon commercial. I can hear you now.
Okay, so
how are you guys doing tonight?
We are good. We have the head and leader and the host of Sports Betting Weekly on our network, Chaz Filardi. He is probably one of the best sports betting guys in the business, handicappers in the business. We're happy to have him on. And we have Mark Everett Kelly, radio show host / TV host over there in Alabama. So
very nice to meet you, Chaz.
Yeah, Mark, are you actually a Bama fan?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Tomorrow I'm at a show. We're in Houston at the TriStar show where they have the autographs. So I got a championship football, 2017 Alabama national champion football, and Jalen Hurts is at the signing. And we were having a discussion today because if you remember, he played all but the last half of the game, the very last game. Well, the last half of the game in a national championship season is a fairly important last half of a game. You know, would you want a Jalen Hurts Alabama football autograph?
Would I? No, I'm not one for autographs and all that.
No, I mean as an Alabama fan, because remember he left.
Well, yeah, he's very special. Very special to Alabama people. They love Jalen Hurts. They got a very special place in their heart for him. Now, if you remember that year, he was the starter. He had lost last year in a championship game, but Tua had played a lot because they were blowing everybody out. Tua and those freshman wide receivers would come in and they would turn a 20-point lead into a 60-point lead. So, and then in the championship game, he wasn't effective. But you kind of saw all season coming what the Alabama offense wanted to be with Tua. What I was kind of surprised as, I didn't think I didn't think Jalen Hurts was as good a passer as he became with Oklahoma. I thought there was some reason why Alabama's not opening up the offense with him, but they did with Tua. So that part I still don't really understand. But Hurts had a great year with Oklahoma. And nobody down here really has anything against Jalen Hurts at all. As a matter of fact, they love him.
Yeah, the bottom line is it takes a village to win a national championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just that he didn't cause an uprising when Saban chose Tua the next year. And he kind of picked his spots, and he came in and he won the SEC championship game. If you remember, they were down 14 against Georgia. Just won Georgia's many times that they yacked against Alabama. But if it weren't for that, they would have lost that game, and they wouldn't have been national champions that year. Or excuse me, they wouldn't have lost to Clemson, but probably Saban's worst loss.
Hold on one second.
Alabama.
Hold on 1 second. All right, so Chaz, we're going to raise the prices on those Alabama balls. Okay.
By the way, we are talking to Mark Everett Kelly. Obviously, if you haven't checked him out, he has a show over there in Alabama with Garrard. They were on last week. A great show. Great fan of Mark. Also a good friend and a great talk show host. And obviously, we have the leader and host of Sports Betting Weekly, Chaz Filardi, joining us over there in Houston. He's live doing, what are you doing over there, Chaz?
The TriStar Collectible Show is at the NRG Arena. And so what we're doing is we created and this is great because if you ever know any Dallas Cowboy fans, they are like living in the past. I mean, we created a 5-time Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboy football that is going to be signed by a representative from all 5 Super Bowls, but it's like 26 years ago.
Chaz, a fan has a question for you. Ask Chaz if Colts odds to win the Super Bowl went up with an addition of Kwity Paye.
Yeah, if you're in the middle, which I got to think the Colts are, right? So they're 22-1. There's nothing that's going to happen to change those odds until you're 3 or 4-0. And then by then, guess what? You can't get those odds. So, if you like your team and you want to bet them, you're betting with your heart, and that's the beauty of fans. We talked about fans, fanatic, homers, whatever you want to call a person that bets with their heart is almost always going to get burned.
There's also the other way around. Like they won't bet them just to jinx them, and vice versa. Like I've seen that in certain instances as well.
Remember we've been doing this show for like 8 years now. So when we're on ESPN 1700, we have people from all over the country calling in. And what we found is the smarter ones, they don't care. They'll bet against their team because you know what? They know their team. You guys know those New York teams so well. It's an opportunity, but you got to get over that, Petey. You got to get over that jinx, and you got to get over worried about it. If they lose and I bet on them, I'll feel guilty. If they win and I bet on them, it's great. But there's like 4 opportunities, and only one of them is going to be perfect. Is that you bet on them and they cover because they can win But if they don't cover it, don't do you a damn bit of good.
I'm not the superstitious one, Chaz. I've just seen it a lot with people that do bet.
You're absolutely right, and that's because their heart's involved.
Right. Ben says they aren't trading Aaron Rodgers. Ben says that's Alabama for you. Snug says, well, that doesn't look like that light bill you paid yet. I think referring to Mark. Snug laughs as Mark, an Alabama fan.
Yeah, I thought they'd love that one.
Chaz is meeting Mark for the first time, Snug. Ask Mark his thoughts on the Applebee's house salad, freshly tossed.
It's not tossed. It's not chopped. It's just a house salad. And if you know, a house salad is normally lettuce and croutons. And all I'm saying is Applebee's made it through the pandemic. They didn't close down. You know what? I knew a guy that was marrying a girl for her money because her grandfather owned soup plantation. End of story.
Snug says, where is Gerard? I missed him already. Ben says, Gerard for president. Snug says, oh God, Beef just blew his load off of all over his phone with that Cowboys announcement. Carl says, Lakers getting crushed early, haven't scored in 4 minutes. Yes, they are. And then Snug says, ask Chaz's thoughts on betting Alabama football this week.
I have a question for both of you before we get into this betting, and I want to know your opinion, Chaz, before we let you go. But what are you guys' thoughts? If LeBron gets knocked out of the first round, and this will be the first time he gets knocked out of the first round, could you ever even think to compare him to Michael Jordan if he gets knocked out of the first round of the playoffs this year? Any one of you guys, what would be your answer to that? Because everybody for the last couple of years is still trying to compare LeBron to Michael Jordan. There is no comparison. I could show you the statistics and the analytics, the new analytics to the old analytics. It's not even comparable. But if LeBron James gets knocked out of the first round, which this would be the first time in his career, Michael Jordan's never been knocked out in the first round at any point of his career in his playoff runs. Could you ever compare LeBron James again to Michael Jordan?
I have some opinions, but I would like to hear Mark's opinion.
Well, Errol, I mean, Jordan did get knocked out in the first round. I mean, he lost to Boston in '86 when he scored 63. That team lost in the first round. But I agree with you. Jordan's the greatest player I ever saw. I don't think it's fair to compare LeBron to Jordan because I think Jordan had to go up against a lot of other elite players back then. Maybe they weren't in their prime, like he kind of missed Bird in his prime, and then he was just getting into Magic before Magic had to retire. But Magic was only 31 then. So if he didn't have to retire, they probably would have faced each other a couple more times. But Jordan's the greatest player I've ever saw. I don't like him the best. I wouldn't pick him first, but I would not take LeBron over Jordan at all.
Chaz?
You know what? If you've got time in your life to worry about who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, you should be on your hands and knees thanking God that you have time on your friggin' hands to think about who's the better player, LeBron, because it's two different eras, two different. Yeah. Did LeBron ever play Aliens? That's what I want.
Well, he did in the next movie, right?
Oh, the second one, yeah. So that's what I would look at. When you're doing sports betting, you look at trends. I would look at the alien trend. How did they do against the aliens? And then I would compare the two. But it really is. It's night and day because I'm old. So, I mean, I understand. I saw Patrick Ewing play when he had good knees. I'm old.
Chaz, was there any betting lines or favorites at the time of Space Jam? How heavy with Monstars?
No, but it's so funny because, as you know, the controversy with Michael and his betting, and then the story about his dad, God forbid, his dad and stuff. It's kind of funny because that's one of the reasons, Josh. I tell people if you're thinking of doing sports betting, don't start. Do something else. Take up. You know what? Ukulele.
Better hobbies.
When you can play a good ukulele, you're gonna get chicks.
Wow. Maybe I'll date. What's his? What's the bunny rabbit's name? I'm so bad.
Lola Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny's. What's
Lola Bunny?
Bola Bunny,
Bola
whatever,
Bunny, yeah.
whatever her name is. Maybe I'll take her.
If you're gonna go, what's the best bunny? Like, what's Michael Jordan versus LeBron? And Jessica Rabbit isn't on your list. You guys got problems.
Wow, that's true. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of my favorite.
Jessica was hot, man.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, okay. This conversation's reaching an uncomfortable level.
Yes. So, Chaz, why don't we go through a couple of your betting lines and tell the fans how you kind of like drive through your betting, and how you kind of make your picks.
Well, one of the things is when you look at what a team is doing. Well, let's talk about baseball, because right now I'm my run that I've had is really with baseball. It's been like a month now that I haven't really lost. I haven't had a losing week in baseball. But there's two things that have to do with baseball. One is the pitchers. It's like no other sport. Sure, the goalie's in the game the whole time, but the goalie doesn't really do anything if the other team is on offense. And so in other words, I'm sitting there, I'm in the net, okay? But if the puck is in my end and I win 4-1, it's not really like I did anything. But those pitchers, if they're on fire and they're throwing 95, 98, 100, 107 pitches, and they're throwing strikes and they're getting people out, it really changes everything. So with Major League Baseball, the pitcher is such a different thing than any other sport. Football, basketball, hockey, any of the major sports. And then so that's the one thing that I focus on is I look for who do I like, and then I say who are they facing, and I will take a game that I like and I will cross it right off the list. If they're playing somebody that's hot, a pitcher that's hot, because we talk about it on our show all the time. You get on a run with a pitcher, you bet him for the first 5 innings. You bet him for the game. You bet the other team's under total, the run total under for the first 5 innings, and you bet him for the game. And then you turn on ESPN or MLB, whatever channel, and he's in the 8th inning with a no-hitter, and you're just dancing around the house. It's just so much fun. So it's really about when you handicap, guys, make as much money and cash as many tickets on that one handicap. And so I'll give you an example. I told you about going to the sushi bar. So I like the game over. I didn't have a lot of time to bet when I'm driving for 24 hours. I had no bars. That's what I was doing. I was trying to bet live action with no bars in the middle of Texas. And if you've heard of West Texas, everybody's heard of West Texas. I had never experienced West Texas. And if the Lord is good to me, I never will again. But so you got to win as many bets because you're doing the handicap. And if you're just betting the game, you do all that handicap and you bet just the game, you're just missing it. I had the first quarter, first half, game, and I got open parlays with that over, and they just kept throwing. And when these guys in the NBA are throwing up threes, they go through the net. It's amazing how good they are.
Right.
I have a question with you mentioned the baseball. How have the random no-hitters and the amount of no-hitters affected betting wise this year? Because you mentioned top pitchers, but it's been a lot of random pitchers.
Yeah,
right. Wade Miley, guys like that.
You're absolutely right.
What about Adam Frazier leading the league in hits right now? I mean, that probably is a rare bet.
But I'm not going to go down to player prop levels, okay? But you're absolutely right that the beauty of these no-namers, Musgrove, of all the guys that are going to throw the first no-hitter in the history of a franchise, it was Joe Musgrove. But the bottom line is that's good for you if you have him that night and maybe the next game. So, remember the Yankees had a run where they weren't scoring at all. I think they had 1 or 2 runs for like 7 or 8 games. So my philosophy is the same thing with a pitcher. If the guy just threw a no-hitter, I'm coming back with them again because I don't necessarily need him to win. If you bet the other team's team total under, the team could still lose, but if they lose 2-1. You remember when the Mets lost 1-0?
Right.
Who was that? DeGrom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I lost that game. I had DeGrom, but it wasn't as painful because I bet the other team's team total over. So all I tell people is there's so many ways to bet that when I was a kid, and it was the 70s, and the bookie showed up I'm eating dinner at my parents' table. Now we're in an Italian neighborhood, so a bookie showing up at your house on a Wednesday when you're in high school really wasn't that big of a deal. But they don't show up if you're getting paid. They show up to get the money that you owe them. So you have to leave the kitchen table to go pay the bookie. You know, it's never a good feeling. So that's what I try to help people is I try to help them to cash more tickets, because at the end of the day, you got to have a couple. If you could bet all day, buy your buddies a couple drinks, maybe even if you're winning big, a house salad at Applebee's. Then what you can do, and you come home with $2. And I tell people, you ever go to golf, hit a bucket of balls, drink all day, play golf, and come home with $2 more than you left with? Let me know.
Chaz, as a Mets fan, I can attest to that. Jacob deGrom does not get run support, so just beware of the actual win of the games. He might pitch well, but that doesn't mean.
And our Easy Sports data has 4 reports. It has the overall report, which is basically what they've done for every game. It has the matchup report, which is if the Giants are home that day to the Redskins, it's just going to show all their home games. And then with baseball, we do the pitchers overall and the pitchers home. And oh my God, Petey, it's so amazing to see these great pitchers. And it's like the players must come to either they go out the night before to the strip clubs and say, you know what, let's party. DeGrom's pitching tomorrow. I don't know what it is, because they don't score for these guys. It's brutal.
Chaz, give us your top 3 games this weekend. Give us the line, and who do you got?
Well, excuse me. There's nothing this weekend except hearing Frank Sinatra sing New York. New York. That's it. That's all you got to talk about if you're from New York. It's the Belmont Stakes.
That's right. That's right. So who do you got for the Belmont?
I haven't even looked. Did I mention 24 hours? But I'll tell you what. I will go on social media. I will tag you guys, and I will give you 4 horses that you can box. Now, there's only 8 horses. So what I'm going to look for is the 2 horses I think are going to win the race, and the other 2 horses are going to fill it in with the exacta, the trifecta, and the superfecta. So it costs you $72. It's a $72 investment. One of our footballs is $84.95. So it's actually cheaper to bet the Belmont than it is to buy an Alabama football.
There you go. There you go. And by the way, he's got great memorabilia. Chaz, if you haven't checked this show out, Sports Betting Weekly, it's on.
All right, so let's figure it out. We're going to do it right now. Aaron, what's your birthday?
4/29/82.
Okay, 4/29/82. Speedy, when's your birthday?
7/26/95.
Josh, help me out. What's your birthday?
04/24/91.
Yeah, it's still too high. Mark, what are you?
3874.
3874. 3874. What I'm looking at is we're gonna create a promo code, and we're gonna run it for the whole month of June. If you go to championshipfootballs.com and you're checking out in the shopping cart, you put in the initials, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, so WWSRN, and what's your birthday, Errol?
4/29/82.
29% off of anything you buy.
Wow, that's
29%.
Very generous.
So I'm going to write that down. It'll be good tomorrow morning. Worldwide Sports Radio Network, 29% off, and I put that on social media when I give you my Belmont winner. Is that fair enough? I can't do much more than that, guys.
WWSRN. If you put that code in, you'll get 29% off of whatever memorabilia you want on the site.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. I might have to buy some stuff myself.
Well, it's a great, I sell footballs for a living. So
yes.
Again, I don't know what I did in another life, but I did so. I must have saved cats out of a burning building, or I don't know. Maybe I delivered some ladies' twins on a stagecoach. I don't know. All I know is I get to sell footballs for a living. However, when you say to somebody, do you like football? And they say no, you don't have to worry about it. But if you say yes, and you simply ask them the next question, who's your favorite team? These people will talk for 35 minutes.
One of the fans say you should use the promo code Toss Salad.
Yeah. It's a house salad. It's not a toss salad. There's no peanut butter in a house salad, is there, Josh?
No, I absolutely not.
There's not a peanut butter in any salad.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Come on.
I don't know. You say that, but we got to talk to Speedy's dog, don't we?
I don't eat salad. Dog eat salad, Jess.
We just don't want to get Mark uncomfortable. That's all.
So, Chaz, I wanted you to tell the fans how they can find you on social media. Quickly tell them how they can find your show.
Yeah, on Twitter, of course, Sports Betting Weekly. Our website is sportsbettingweekly.com. And really, it's simple. You're going to be a better guaranteed. It's really that simple. And how can I guarantee it? Did I mention I hadn't had a losing weekend in like a month?
You know who I should? One of our fans, Jeff from Tampa, he bets all the time. He parlays everything.
Does he win all the time?
He wins a lot, but he doesn't. Right. He doesn't win like you. He doesn't win like you. So
I also don't bet a lot of parlays.
Yeah, but I've told Jeff to check out your show, so I'm sure he's tuned into your show quite a few times. But
so I'll give you a quick math lesson in parlay. So the odds of a team winning is 1 out of 2, right? Because there's 2 teams in a game. So 1 out of 2 times 1 out of 2 is 1 out of 4. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's what you should get. You should get 4-1 for a 2-team parlay. They pay you 2.6. Well, if you do it again and you do a 3-teamer, it's 1 out of 2 times 1 out of 2 times 1 out of 2, mm-hmm. which is 1 out of 8. So they should pay you 8-1. They pay you 6-1. The more teams you add to a parlay, the more the house screws you. Right. And basically, that's how they make their money. So yeah, bet straight bets. If you got to bet parlays, keep it to maybe 5 to 9% of your bankroll. Bet straight bets. Cash tickets. Take the girl that watched football with you all day to dinner. Your life will be better.
Chaz, thank you for joining us, bud.
Hey, God bless you. Now remember, WWSRN as a promo code at championshipfootballs.com. Get you 29% off during the month of June. And I will post that tomorrow with 4 horses in the Belmont Stakes. And if you hit the superfecta, just say thank you.
Nice meeting you.
All right, buddy. We'll talk. Thanks, guys.
Stay safe.
Have a great night, man. Bye-bye.
Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. Awesome guy. Love the guy. Smart guy. Knows his betting. And he does very well. If you guys love to bet, he's the guy to talk to. His show, he's got the best handicappers in the country that comes on his show. I'm talking about multi-millionaires that play, and all they do is bet, and they make a lot of money. And Chaz, I think last week for the weekend, I think on Saturday, he was 13-2.
There was another week about 2 months ago. He was 13-1 or something.
Yeah, he's killing it. If you guys want to make money and you're into betting and stuff like that, you can sit home and bet on their picks, and you can make yourself a significant amount of money if you like to bet on sports.
Yeah, it's getting a lot more popular too.
It's number one. It's number one. Sports betting is number one. So now it's Mark's turn. What's up, Speedy?
I was just going to read the comments.
Go ahead, read the comments and stick it out and stop answering them. Just go through them, then answer them.
Carl says Booker with 6 threes. Snug says if LeBron didn't attend Alabama, there's a 50-50 chance Mark has heard of him. Snug says Chaz for president 2024. Carl says, ask Mark about Julio Jones to the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Ben says Packers. Julio Jones to the Packers. Brittany says, please do. Carl says, uncomfortable level. No uncomfortable level is anything non-Alabama. Mm-hmm. Carl wants to know Mark's opinion on Larry Bird or Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Snug says, cash more tickets, toss more house salads. Promo code Applebee's. Promo code toss salad. Brittany says, or toss salad. Ben says, promo code Applebee's toss salad. Promo code Alabama Slammer. Snug says, and Snug says it's not Mark's first toss salad.
Thank you, Snug, for adding my last name to it. Anyways, Mark, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. I shut off the Islander game when they called the penalty on Josh Bailey because at that point, I have to determine what's going to be better for my overall health. And watching an Islander playoff game where they get shafted on a call probably isn't. But it was a really great game. The beginning of the third period was really great. Like Varlamov played great. You were right though about him starting tonight, but he really played great. And
he played great, but he gave up. He played it great, but he gave up a really big goal in the overtime.
Yeah, I didn't see that
game.
But I tell you, Boston's great. I mean, they really are.
They shouldn't have won that goal was terrible, Mark. The game should be going on still, and maybe the Islanders win the game if Varlamov did. I don't care how great he played. I would have started Sorokin. To me, I don't understand it. I don't understand Barry Trotz's love fest for Varlamov. And if Varlamov starts game number 4,
after he lost the game. And he lost the game. You put Sorokin in. Sorokin was 4-0. He lost one game in the beginning of the series, and he pulls him out. So if Varlamov lost this game and he gave up a bad goal, I want to see Sorokin in game number 4.
Yeah, he'll start. I assume he'll start in game 4.
Yeah, well, you also assumed that he was.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I guessed wrong on that one, but I tell you, he did stand on his head for most of that game.
So did Sorokin's done that too.
Unreal.
Sorokin does that too.
Sorokin did that in game 4 of the Penguins.
Yes,
series, so.
he stopped 62 saves. He had 62 saves, and then Barry Trotz after one game in the second round. After that goaltender got you to the second round, he's the one who when you were down 2-1 because Varlamov came in those back-to-back games and lost those 2 back-to-back games. You bring in Sorokin, he wins 3 games in a row, and you pull him after the first game of the Bruins series. I mean, that shows you don't have confidence in the young kid.
It's been a fun series, though. It's really a bit fun series to watch.
Yeah, but you want to see your team have the best chance to win. And I don't think you have the best chance to win with Varlamov. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, neither do I. But at least he did play really good tonight. So
yeah, he did. Good for him. Anyways, we had a huge argument. Jeff was on it really practically took up the whole show yesterday. And the argument was if Julio Jones gets traded to Seattle, is Seattle automatically a Super Bowl contender to get Julio Jones now that they have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and what that offense? Obviously, Speedy did not think so because they have deficiencies on defense, and he says they're not balanced, which I proved that he was wrong about that. They are balanced. Even with their statistics as far as their secondary, they still were ranked 13th all around defense in the league. 11th in special teams, 9th in offense. That's as balanced as you can get. So your opinion, if Julio Jones got traded to Seattle tomorrow, are they automatically a Super Bowl contender?
Well, I think they're a Super Bowl contender anyway. I mean, they won the division last year, so you have to consider them probably the best team in the West. I think it adds to their offense. Obviously, if you pair him with Russell Wilson, one of the better wide receivers in football still. I mean, he's not really old, Julio Jones. He's still probably got another good, 4 or 5 years in him. You look what Larry Fitzgerald's done into his late 30s, and Jones is just as good as an athlete as he is. So, I think it would make them a favorite. Why wouldn't you think that?
Well, you're going to have to ask Speedy that.
So my argument was the fact that the Seahawks don't need to overload something that they're already good at. They have Lockett, they have Metcalf, and they have Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson played extremely well in back-to-back seasons with those guys. I don't think that's really their problem right now. I think their problem is mainly their offensive line and their defense. And a lot of times when you lose in the playoffs, it seems like the Seahawks have had the same recurring issues. So their offensive line's bad. Their defense has been, it was better than I thought last year, obviously, but it's been bad in other certain years too. Not horribly bad, but it's not like the elite defense we saw when they were winning Super Bowls. So I thought they really just had to build their roster differently. They've dug themselves in a big hole with a lot of bad drafts recently. We all thought they overpaid,
and we went through
for Jamal Adams.
Speedy, you could spin it.
Didn't they take Eskridge in the second round?
Yes, which a lot of people thought was a significant.
Here's the problem with Speedy. He thinks that in an offseason, you could just go out there and rebuild your defense. They're a Super Bowl contender right now. They were a Super Bowl contender last year. Going into the playoffs, they won 11 games. Okay, if they get arguably one of the top 10 wide receivers in the league to add to that offense, your defense is very hard to find. They went to free agency. They don't have the money. They just trade for Jamal Adams. They're gonna have to pay him in another year. So they don't have the trade options for their picks because they just gave the Jets 2 first rounds and a third to get Jamal Adams. So if they have a chance to get a guy of Julio Jones' stature that can really solidify your offense, and you never have enough offense, especially the way the new rules are in the NFL. I'm sorry, Speedy's wrong, and you're automatically moving up with the odds of winning a championship when you add another top end offensive wide receiver.
Yeah, and we're talking about like a marquee guy here. We're not talking about a guy who's just a Pro Bowler. He is, and he makes big catches at big times too. That's another thing about wide receivers. Some of them get alligator arms in big spots. He never did.
But again, my argument was also not downgrading Julio Jones, the player. I was saying
I understand
the Seahawks' current situation.
I understand.
They've had playoff loss after playoff loss with the same issues, and it doesn't seem like they're trying to solve those issues. You actually brought up the draft pick too, which I didn't think of yesterday with Eskridge.
Right.
Like, you have so limited picks. Why waste that kind of pick? One, badly reaching too. He was thought of as a day 3 pick, and two, on something you already had too. So that, even if they trade for Julio Jones, that'll really make that pick look even worse too. Going after a
not necessarily, because Julio Jones is he only has 3 years left on his contract. If Julio Jones has a decent year this year and a decent year the year after, he's probably not playing there 3 years, and they're probably going to move him anyways, or we're going to release him and they're not going to pay him that 3rd-year option. So they're only going to keep Julio Jones maybe 1 or 2 years, and that's why they're not going to have to give up a significant amount. Now, if Tennessee gives a first-round draft pick, they're keeping him for the 3 years, because you're going to really set your team back as far as the talent, talent pool of rookie young talent that you're going to bring in. You're expected to win now if you add Julio Jones with AJ Brown and the talent that they have over there. So, you add a guy like Julio Jones to Seattle, you're automatically a contender. It doesn't matter of their deficiencies and weaknesses. Every team has a deficiency somewhere in their defense, somewhere in their offense, somewhere. You look at Tampa. Everybody says that Tampa doesn't have a weakness. They do have a weakness. They have a ton of weaknesses, but you don't talk about their weaknesses because of their strengths, and they have more strengths than weaknesses. Seattle has more weaknesses in their defense, and if they had Julio Jones, what weakness do they have in their offense? Your deficiency is your offensive line is hidden if you add Julio Jones and you have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, because you're going to have to double team one player, and the other 2 players you're not going to be able to double team. So that opens the field for one of these guys to be dominant. So,
but also remember, Errol, remember last year how hot Wilson was at the beginning of the year. I think he had like 26 touchdowns through his first 7 games, and their offense was absolutely exploding. And then to lose like they did in the playoff round against the Rams and only score 20 points, to where their offense, the second part of the season, I mean, he was averaging over 300 yards a game, I think, the first 7 or 8 games, Russell Wilson. It looked like he was going to break just about every passing record there was. And then they really came back to normal. So that, I think, they're still trying to address why that happened. And there could be.
I can tell you, DK Metcalf in the playoffs. If you watch DK Metcalf, he couldn't do. Besides that one catch that he had against the Rams, I think he had a touchdown in that game.
Yeah, the garbage time touchdown.
The garbage time touchdown. He couldn't do anything because they double teamed him. They went under him and they went over him. He couldn't do anything. So you have small Tyler Lockett in the slot, and you were moving him around the field. Eventually, teams figure you out. If you add Julio Jones to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, how are you going to stop that? How the hell are you going to stop that? You're not going to be able to stop that. And who's to say DK Metcalf is going to stay healthy this year, or Tyler Lockett's going to stay healthy this year? You really solidify your wide receiving core if you add a Julio Jones. I mean, Julio Jones could change everything for that team. And the Rams are not going to be able to stop them in a playoff game, because all they've got is Ramsey. Their number one guy is Ramsey. Their other guy is, what's his name again?
Right now it's Troy Hill.
Troy Hill. And he played well last year in the second half of the season. He did. But again, Troy, are you going to depend on Troy Hill to stop Julio Jones? I mean, come on. It's not likely to happen. So I would take Seattle in that game, even though you have Matthew Stafford, who's better than Jared Goff, and they're probably more prolific offensively this year. I still think there's a lot of deficiencies in their offense. By the way, they don't have a running game. I mean, Acker, he played very well, especially a young player a rookie played as well and efficient as he has done. They really didn't solidify their running back position this offseason. They didn't bring in a veteran. I think the Rams have a lot of deficiencies, especially in their running game.
Maybe they bring back Todd Gurley. Who knows? He's a free agent right now.
That's never going to happen. Gurley's done.
No. But even just as a backup, I wouldn't rule it out. Stuck says, I believe Julio Jones went to Alabama. So yes, immediate Super Bowl champs. I'm sure there's an Alabama roster, Alabama player on the majority of the Super Bowl rosters.
Yeah, I would say so.
They just get so many draft picks. But again, with the offensive line though, it can be an issue though, even with a mobile quarterback though too. There's a lot of teams that load up with the skill players all the time and still have the offensive line issues too. You look at the Browns in 2019; they had Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, and everyone thought that was going to be an unstoppable offense, and the offensive line was terrible for that year too. So it still can happen. It still can happen with that kind of case as well.
All right, we have a third caller of the day. Who we speaking to?
K-Dog.
What's going on, Mr. Kevin?
Nothing much. Just here to call in and talk about that fat slob Jokic.
Oh, God.
Call him choke job.
All right.
I've been saying. I've been told y'all.
Well, you've been telling me. We all said, me, Speedy, last week, 2 weeks ago, you called the show. We told you Jokic was the MVP. Yep. I mean, you didn't tell us anything. We knew Jokic was the MVP of the league. Steph Curry should have never been on that list, one. Number two, Joel Embiid had a good season, but Joel Embiid has been fighting injury, all different parts of the season. So I didn't think he was going to win. And I think Damian Lillard should have been on that list as well, because I think he had a better chance of winning over Jokic than any one of those guys. So you're right. I would agree with you that Jokic won the MVP. He deserved it. I don't think there's any argument from any one of us on this panel.
Absolutely. No, I'm just talking shit. He was you're the one who gave him props. You're the one who said he's a clear-cut favorite. Seems like everyone else had a different narrative they're trying to push. They're even trying to do Chris Paul. And you're seeing what Devin Booker's been doing. He's the MVP of the Phoenix Suns. Devin he's shooting his lights out right now. So, yeah, Jokic, as far as his playoff run goes, the way he's able to carry his team with that Austin Rivers, that Campazzo dude,
Austin Rivers.
They got no business being this good right now, being a playoff team.
Austin Rivers, give me a break. I mean, I can't stand his father, and I couldn't stand him. Okay, he played for the Knicks for 5 minutes. He had one good game where he got hot, and all the Knicks fans says, right. "Oh my God, they look at Austin Rivers. We got him for his steal." He was in and out of the New York Knicks. I think he went to Philadelphia, his father. Then he was let go by his father to go to OKC. And then obviously the Nuggets picked him up. And he's having a decent playoff. And everybody thinks he's the next thing since sliced bread. He's not Murray. And that's not going to help you win anything. Close. Okay. So Jokic is special. There's no question that he is. He's a special, special player. And I think the Nuggets, if they had Murray right now, I think they'd be one of my favorites to come out of the West. Definitely. And maybe win the NBA championship, especially the way the Lakers are playing. They're going to get eliminated here. By the way, if LeBron James loses in the first round the way he is right here, don't even dare to compare him to Michael Jordan. I think he's the second greatest basketball player of all time. Don't compare him to Michael Jordan because there's no comparison.
Coca Lawan.
No doubt. I'll go ahead.
Coca Lawan in the comment section says Atlanta will get Julio out of the NFC if possible. I'm surprised the Texans didn't make a move. Snug says, is this Kenny's brother or Lyle's cousin? Maybe Beeve's boyfriend? Ben says, Snug cat, yes to all the above.
Steph Curry for MVP. Go ahead.
Steph Curry for MVP. And Jeff says, where's the Alabama talk this evening?
You guys, they're talking about football, NFL. We got primetime NBA playoff going on, but football, NFL goes all year round, huh?
All the time, especially not only in New York on the East Coast. I mean, NFL's going on, OTAs right now. We could talk about a lot of teams. A lot of quarterbacks haven't showed up. As Jeff says, a lot of quarterbacks don't show up to this part of the OTAs until it becomes mandatory. And that's, I think 2 weeks away where there's mandatory OTAs that's going to start. But the NBA is around right here. And I think the NBA, the Western Conference has been interesting, Kevin. Anything else in the Eastern Conference, we expect everything that we expect. It's going to probably, whoever comes out of the Bucks and Brooklyn Nets series is going to go all the way to the NBA championship in the Eastern Conference. There's no argument to that.
Let's just hope the Nets get knocked out because I really don't want to see that drama queen Kyrie Irving win and the way they came together like that. That's just, I would not like to see that. I hope the Bucks get it done. But as far as the Lakers, you brought up LeBron James. Anthony Davis was the key to their championship last year. Everyone was praising LeBron. He's the star, yeah, but he was older. Anthony Davis was the key. His defense, rebounding, everything else, what he did.
Well,
that was the key.
By the way, I think LeBron, you're not LeBron. Anthony Davis is a little girl, because if you can stand on your 2 feet, and he's standing right now, and he hasn't sat down at all. If you can stand, you should try to push yourself and try to get your team through this. Whatever happens in the second round, I think being that the Phoenix Suns were the second, and I blame injuries this year, but losing LeBron James for 21, 22 games in the regular season at the end of the season didn't really help them much. And being that you had to face Phoenix in the first round of the playoffs, a number 2 seed that has been so good all season long with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, who has become a superstar. I think LeBron James really put his team in the hole, being that he didn't come back as soon as he should have. And they thought this was going to be an easy series, which obviously it wasn't.
No, Anthony Davis is made of glass. He's made of glass, but when he is healthy, he's key. He's big. But you're right. He's always injured. He's always flopping around on the ground. But I'll leave you to it with this final thought.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers being a diva, what do you think is going to make of that? And Tebow mania. Let's see him get it done, baby. Tebow time.
Well, I will say this. Jacksonville getting Tebow. I think Tebow will score at least a touchdown or 2 this year. So if it's a 1,500 to 1 odds, which I think it is, bet on Tebow getting a touchdown, because I absolutely believe he will have a touchdown before season's end, maybe even 2. So bet on it. You'll make a lot of money.
Apparently they're going to try to use him like Taysom Hill.
And what was the other one he said? What was the other thing? He said Tebow? Aaron Rodgers
will never be like a Tom Brady. He
come on.
Too much of a nerd.
Come
He's
on.
a baby.
Well, first of all, every quarterback in this league is a diva, okay? Including Tom Brady. They're all divas, okay? They all bitch. They all complain. They're all this. They're all that. So there's no question. And you might be right about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wants out, and he's right that the team hasn't really built around him. So they didn't give him enough offensive weapons that he needed over the last couple of years. Do you think that Tampa would have won if Aaron Rodgers had another Julio Jones on that team last year in the playoffs against Tampa? The answer is no. Okay, they would have won. They were one play away. Aaron Rodgers didn't run the ball, and that has a lot to do with Tampa's defense. And Tom Brady has played sensational when he needed to. He made the plays that he needed to in the NFC title game. But all in all, if Aaron Rodgers had that other weapon that he's been asking for, I say Green Bay goes to the Super Bowl, and who knows, probably would have won with that offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't blame Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay, because they're not putting the right players around them. So he might be a diva. Every quarterback in the league is a diva, including Russell Wilson, that's been bitching and moaning because his offensive line can't protect them. So there you go.
Also, Aaron Rodgers threw for 300.
Go through, get it done, is to hold out and not go to training camp, this and that. There's got to be a better way.
Well, everybody
going out in the media and doing these interviews, there's got to be a better way.
Kev, you know this. This is not mandatory OTAs. So Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, none of these guys showed up to it's not mandatory. In 2 weeks, it's mandatory. So you will see Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, if they're not on, well, Tom Brady will be on Tampa. Aaron Rodgers could be playing for the Broncos. So you will see Aaron Rodgers one way or another throwing a football 2-3 weeks down the road at mandatory OTAs. So I don't blame Aaron Rodgers. He's hanging out with his fiance. He's in Hawaii. He's doing whatever he's doing, and he's going to be back on the field one way or another.
All right, then. I hope so. Hope he gets out there, because he's good, but his diva antics getting a little annoying. But I'll leave you guys to it. They take my call.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin from Chicago. Nice guy. Good fan of ours. By the way, Mark, what were you going to say?
I said Rodgers threw 353 touchdowns compared to 68 receptions from 2010 to 2020. I mean, those numbers are absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. So to compare Rodgers to Brady isn't fair either, because there's only one Brady, and nobody can win as many Super Bowls as he's won. But Rodgers, it shouldn't be belittled how much he's accomplished. as far as regular season statistics. He has put together some just mind-numbing statistics in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Even in the playoffs. Even in the playoffs, the statistics are ridiculous. It's just sad that they haven't given him enough weapons to succeed. And I don't blame that on Aaron Rodgers. I blame that on the GM. I blame that on the organization, the president, and what that organization has done to him. He has every right to be upset. And if I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be forcing my way out of there too, because I would have 3 or 4 Super Bowls if they actually listened to me. So go ahead, Speedy.
I was going to say, Mark, in reference to the touchdown stat you brought up, the touchdown interception ratio is the greatest in NFL history for high quarterbacks.
Yeah, almost 300 more. I mean, 10 year span.
What are people saying on the list, Speedy?
Ben says it's not mandatory for another week. Jeff, I answered your question on that. Coca Lawan, what's up, Mark? I'm Mark's neighbor. All right, so joining the feed.
Oh yeah. He's the guy I was gonna. I asked if he can come on. He's big sports guy down here. Yeah.
All right, we'll have him on another time then, definitely.
Yeah, he wanted to get the gist of it. He wasn't sure yet. Okay, I don't know if I want to go on there, but now that he's watched, I guess he's okay with.
Slug says I did hear the Bruins won tonight. Coca said Kuzma is a bust. Ben says Tom Brady is the diva of divas. Snug says that Rask is total worth his weight in gold. Coca says Tebow with a thumbs down emoji. Aaron Rodgers and Julio Jones need each other, would be a dominant tandem. And Ben says they did the same thing to Favre.
Interesting. Interesting. Listen, Aaron Rodgers, I do believe he will be traded. One way or another, you're going to hear in the next week or so, he'll be traded to the Broncos. I think Josh would agree with me on this. I think his time with Green Bay is over. They added Jordan Love. What was it? Two drafts ago.
2020, yep.
Yeah, 2 drafts ago. I think they're on their way of pushing this kid into that position. I feel bad for Devontae Adams. I feel bad for some of the players. Giving Aaron Jones the money that they gave him in the offseason. You're talking about $13 million a year from a running back that they pulled in the NFC title game because he wasn't running the ball and he dropped the ball twice. And you're gonna overpay him. I don't care what the season is and what he had in the season. Look at Julius Randle. Julius Randle had an unbelievable season. Look what he did in the playoffs. Absolutely bust. So you're gonna pay Julius Randle because he had a great season. You don't overpay somebody that doesn't play well in the biggest prestige part of the season, and that's the playoffs. So unfortunately, Aaron Jones didn't deserve that money. But Josh, I know you haven't spoken. Aaron Rodgers, where does Aaron Rodgers go? Do you think Aaron Rodgers gets traded?
It's a tough scenario. I have to see this. Listen, I know they said Tennessee and Seattle are the favorites for Julio Jones, and I know, Errol, you don't think that he's going to go to Green Bay. I don't either, but I can't not sit there and say they're not a part of this. They have to do anything to salvage this relationship, and why not salvage it by getting a top 5 talented wide receiver, right? I feel like the only way they could salvage this. I mean, somebody wrote on Twitter that apparently he's going to show up next Tuesday at Packer camp. That's what somebody is saying out of Rodgers' camp, that he is going to show up next Tuesday. I don't see it. I don't believe it. I think it's done at this point. I see him in Denver. We'll see. San Francisco was another spot for me until they drafted Lance, which I know is the spot he really wanted to go to, was San Francisco. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's Denver. He sits out, and they say that's it. You're gonna have to sit in your ass.
I heard everything that I've heard. He's not sitting out.
Then he's good. And you know what? If I'm Green Bay and they know he's not going to sit out, then don't trade him.
Well, they haven't given enough weapons. But my thoughts is in the middle of the offseason, did you ever think that Seattle, Russell Wilson wanted out, Aaron Rodgers wanted out? Why don't you flip flop and swap them? I mean, that would have made a lot of sense. You send Aaron Rodgers to Seattle. He wants to go to the West Coast. And you send Russell Wilson to Green Bay, where he finished his college career over there in Wisconsin. So, I mean, that would have made a lot of sense. And over there, they both fit, but I know Sierra does not want to go to Wisconsin, cold Wisconsin, when she's right now on the West Coast, where she's not doing music anymore. But I don't think she wants to move to the cold climates of Wisconsin. How about you, I'm sorry, Mark. Mark, I'm a little lost.
Mark.
Mark.
It's Mark. Hi, Mark.
It's Mark. Mark, M-A-R-K, no C, M-A-R-K.
Mark, your thoughts of the offseason so far for the NFL with these two idiots. What are your thoughts with Aaron Rodgers, the Julio Jones situation, and everything that's going on right now this offseason? And now that OTAs are going to be mandatory in a week, where do you see some of these teams and some of these cuts? Are there going to be? And by the way, the Jets had the Redskins offensive lineman. Who's the? I was telling
Morgan Moses.
Morgan Moses was actually visit the New York Jets the other day. The Jets are one of the favorites of the teams that he's going to be interested in. So, how about you? Well, what do you think? What stands out right now this offseason?
What stands out? Well,
I asked you what now? The Julio Jones, the Aaron Rodgers, the talks right now, the Deshaun Watson. What has stood out to you in the last couple of weeks, this offseason, now that OTAs are going to be mandatory in the next week? What has stood out to you, and what do you see in the next couple of weeks could really change the outlook of a Super Bowl champion?
Well, I think if teams or if fans want Brady to lose, right now they'd have to be the favorite in the West because they've gotten stronger. They've kept just about everybody on their roster, and Brady has shown no signs of slowing down at all from year to year. But one of the teams I believe that probably can give him fits would be going up and playing Green Bay again. They came so close to losing the last time, and if you remember, Brady really had a couple of possessions where he gave them a chance to win, and they didn't. So they didn't take that chance. And I think that Green Bay can beat them if they're able to execute better, and they just didn't. And a lot of that had to do with some of the pressure that they were being put on. But I still expected Aaron Rodgers, if he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks and wanted to match up with Brady, to score in that spot, and they didn't. So that's got to eat at him. And if he gets if he gets Julio Jones, and I would say they're the favorite in the West. And I think that when looking at the overall situation, Gerard and I were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, that would be the ideal spot for him if they could make it work. And as far as salary cap, you got to remember he's got a $15 million hit. So I don't know if they're where they are as far as salary cap, but they'd have to work that out. If he gets put on Green Bay, you kind of answer Rodgers, who's been crying for another player, giving him one of the best in football. And to me, they would jump over Tampa Bay as being the favorite in the West. Now, in the East, I think what the Patriots have done in the offseason has gotten a lot of attention because it's not what they used to do, okay? Now, remember, there was a time when Belichick would go out and get like an Adelius Thomas and spend a lot of money and get marquee players, but they didn't win those years. Remember with the Randy Mosses and the Wes Welkers and even Thomas on defense didn't really fit into that scheme. So he went away from it, and then you saw the success he had. But I still mostly think it has to do with Brady. But if they can somehow turn those offseason acquisitions, right, I think it puts them maybe not on par with as good as Buffalo, but I think they're much better than they were last year. And they'll get some of the guys back that sat out last year.
So, by the way,
they were heading into the offseason. Yeah, I think they could still be a team to beat. I think they could still have a shot and win the AFC East if those guys perform like Belichick expects them to. And also, I think that Mac Jones will have a part to play in that because he seems to be a perfect fit.
I disagree. I think adding the amount of players that they added in the offseason, they spent $130 million. That's not Bill Belichick-esque. I think Bill Belichick is trying to win more sooner than later, especially knowing that he's getting a little bit older. He doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. He did make that move. They got Mac Jones. I think it was a great move by them, how he fell to them. I know you loved Mac Jones. I mean, watching tape and watching as much tape as I have, I put him as my third best quarterback in this class. I think he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks to come out from Alabama that we've seen out of all the terrible quarterbacks that have come out from Alabama. I think Mac Jones stands out of all of them, including Tua, who you loved very, very much. I've always said that Tua was not going to be successful in this league. I just don't think his game fits the NFL style. And now we'll see this year when he's 100% healthy with his hip. how he plays, especially when they added a big-time wide receiver from your Alabama Crimson Tide in Jalen Waddle. I want to see what they're going to do when they actually have weapons. I just don't think Tua is the quarterback of the future that we've seen when we talk about the Lawrences of the world and the Lamar Jacksons and the Patrick Mahomes, the Deshaun Watsons, the Zach Wilsons. I don't know if Tua is that type of quarterback. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
No, he's got to stay healthy. You can't stay healthy. He's got to show he can stay healthy. He hasn't.
Jeff says, why is Mark here without Garrard? I feel cheated. Ben says, Rodgers won't go to San Francisco. He's still mad for not being drafted by them. Christina Angela, hi, Joshy. Snug says, hey, Joshy, cutie pie. Jeff says, hey, Joshy, you're still going.
Your sister-in-law came on, my friend.
Oh, okay.
You're still going to the Asian massage parlor. This is a good comment. Coca said, Rodgers and Jones would be each other's perfect complement. Green Bay should trade the quarterback they drafted last year. Jordan Love to Atlanta. That is actually interesting. And then Jeff says, of course, Mac
for Julio Jones.
Well, as part of the package.
What are you, nuts?
As part of the package.
You're not trading away your future quarterback for Julio Jones, who's 32 years old, and he's only going to play 2 strong. That's good. That's as dumb as you saying that Julio Jones going to Seattle doesn't make them a Super Bowl contender. What are you, nuts?
I'm reading the comments.
You said that's interesting.
It's interesting. I never thought of that scenario.
It's stupid. No offense, Coca. I think that's dumb.
That's just probably why he wanted to wait before he came on.
Jeff says, of course, Mac stands out among the Alabama quarterbacks. The rest are trash. And Coca said, Mac Jones benefited from awesome receivers. He'll put the ball on your back or ass.
Well, I know I will say that he did benefit from the wide receivers that he had. Absolutely. But Mac Jones, besides Zach Wilson, is the most accurate quarterback that we've seen in the last 6 years coming out of the draft, out of all the quarterbacks. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. He's a very accurate quarterback.
Let me just say something, because I think this thing about being a favorite for Alabama, or they have great quarterbacks, has been really, really disgustingly overplayed. So I'm fully aware that Alabama hasn't produced any good quarterbacks probably since Kenny Stabler. But again, they weren't known for quarterbacks at all. All the quarterbacks that were supposed to be good when entering college, by the time it got to the pros, none of these guys were expected to do anything. Maybe Richard Todd was, but we all know how bad Richard Todd turned out to be. So it's not like there were any quarterbacks coming out of Alabama we expected to be superstars in the pros. Tua was really the first guy that was expected to do something. Maybe Jalen Hurts too. So you can only really judge it by that. But I will say this, though. If we want to really look at the overall picture in NFL history, there's only 2 schools that have produced 3 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. One is Alabama, and the other is Purdue.
Interesting. Now, you be nice, who's on the phone. Jeff, what's going on?
Yeah, I got to go, guys. I just
Hold on. He'll be nice. Relax. Stay on. He'll be nice.
I mean, are we really doing this? Like, are we really doing this? So when people say, well, Mac stands out from Alabama quarterbacks, what are we comparing him to? Greg McElroy or A.J. McCarron? Like, of course he stands out. He's like the only, maybe Jalen Hurts was considered for like a Heisman Trophy or something. Mac Jones was considered for a Heisman. Were any of these other just scrubs considered for a Heisman Trophy? So of course he stands out.
Jeff, he already left.
It's all right. It's all right. I know Mark with the back and forth, and Mark's not one of those people that likes to go back and forth and argue, especially when it goes off the topic of sports, and that's his opinion, and that's fine. Eric, you can go back and you banter, but I'm
not picking on Mark when I say any of that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, was Brody Croyle or Greg McElroy or A.J. McCarron or any of these other guys considered for a Heisman Trophy? I don't think that they were, right? So they were game changers. So before you get mad, Mark, and before you cry, because that's not the whole point, I'm just saying, of course he stands out. He was one of the best players in the nation as far as college is concerned. Those other guys didn't stack up to what Mac Jones had as a college resume.
You're right.
Or at least for a season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a fair criticism before you get mad that I picked on Alabama quarterbacks.
I will tell you this. I have two friends that are Alabama fans, huge Alabama fans. And they said, I asked them, I said, if you were to take a quarterback in the big game, what quarterback would you take in the big game at the top of his game in Alabama? Tua or Mac Jones? Both of them said Mac Jones. Both of them. That tells you what they think of Mac Jones and what they think of Tua.
But if we're being honest and fair about the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, just being honest, Tua didn't really kind of compete for national. Like, he had that one really good second half because Jalen Hurts kind of failed in that game. Not as a college quarterback, not as an Alabama season, but like he struggled in that game. So they brought in Tua and he excelled, and he kind of just only built a reputation off of that one performance.
Mm-hmm. No, and Mac Jones, he really didn't prove himself until really the national title game, where he played fantastic. And yes, everybody says, well, Mac Jones predicated on the talent that he had around him. In a lot of these top schools, these SEC schools, these ACC schools that have top end talent, you have the best players around you. So you're going to tell me that Lawrence didn't have top end wide receivers? He didn't.
He didn't.
Well, okay. Did he have a top end running back? Did he have the best running back in the nation? How about his offensive line?
Debatable, right? Because some people would say, and again, Mark's going to think I'm picking, but some people would say Najee Harris was better.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how they are with their pro careers, but
right, but that's not what you're doing though right now, because we both don't know. But you're going, but wasn't Travis Etienne better than Najee? No, that's not. I don't think that's a clear yes to that question. Where you can look at the Alabama wide receivers and say yes, it was a clear yes that the Alabama wide receivers were better, and we know this just based on everybody's perspective. Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith were both top 10 picks or top 12 picks. Where was Devontae picked? 10 or 12?
Yeah, 10.
Right. So they had two top 10 picks in the NFL draft, and the top Clemson wide receiver went in the third round.
Okay.
So when you're like, didn't they have top end talent? No,
but they might not have. Hold on, they might not have had top end talent as far as Alabama's concerned with their wide receiving core. But they had a third round wide receiver that was drafted. They had a first round running back that was drafted with.
So if this is how we're judging it, Alabama had a first round running back. They had two first-round linemen. They had two first-round receivers and a first-round quarterback. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? Like when you're like, but they played other people with top 10. No, Clemson players didn't go outside of Trevor Lawrence and Etienne. The next guy chosen was in the third round.
All right, Jeff. So who was going into the season? Who was the number one ranking team when it came to talent going into the season? It was Clemson.
No, it wasn't. It was Alabama. If you go and look, and Mark will back me up on this because I've done this with other people as well, with Matty Caps and others. If you look at Alabama, they have 53. I think it was 53. I don't want to get this number too wrong, but they had 53 4-star or higher recruits out of high school. The next closest college to them was Georgia with 21.
Okay, and I'm not going to argue that because college football, but Clemson was ranked at number one practically the whole season. Why would they rank number one? Obviously, because of their talent.
But they weren't ranked number one the whole season because if you go back,
practically. I didn't say all season. I said practically the whole season. So,
but they weren't because Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and that was early in the season. And Alabama was number one. Yeah, Mark, was Alabama number one like the entire way?
Mark's not on.
Stormed out again.
He stormed out.
He stormed out?
Yeah.
I didn't even pick on him. What the fuck happened?
Jeff, I told you he left like 5 minutes ago.
I can't see when I'm on the phone because I was
Speedy, read Coco what Coco was saying.
Coco says, I'm an Alabama fan and I agree. Mac was a great game manager, but he can end up in a Brady situation. Tua has Wilson and Murray potential, and he was hurt. Mismanagement cost Tua. correct. Mac was in a situation where it was hard for him to lose, and he says he's justifying Jeff's comment. It was us, Alabama, number one talent wise.
Dude, Alabama is number one every year. They have easily every year. They have over 50 4-star or higher recruits, 4 or 5-star. They only go to 5-star. Higher recruits every year. Georgia, because of Kirby Smart, had always been number 2. Clemson, they have a fair amount of talent, but it's not even close to what Alabama has. It's not even close. Dude, Nick Saban has made a deal with the devil and sold his soul, and it's working.
Well,
I'm sad, by the way, that Mark felt the need to cry and just leave, because I didn't pick on him at all, did I?
No. And he's just, Mark rather just not get back into the banter of back and forth if you guys are going to disagree.
Not banter. All I did was
no. I'm just saying after the few times that he's been on it just, in his eyes, he just doesn't want to deal with it. So I understand, whatever.
Well, I'm sorry that he's soft. I feel bad that I have to apologize for his softness. Bring on Gerhard. Well, he can take it.
You love him. That's the difference. I mean, you absolutely adore him, and
he's what's not to love. You look at those big doe eyes, and you just fall in love.
But I'm not going to argue with Alabama or any of that.
But you kind of are when you're like, oh well, Clemson was talent. When you say Clemson, now Errol, I talked to you earlier, and we had this conversation about Speedy's performance last night. Okay, so let's do it. When you say Clemson had more top-end talent, would you be right or wrong?
I would be wrong because I don't know college football like you. But Clemson going into the season was ranked number 1. They were the number 1 ranking in the nation. Were they not?
Why?
I don't know. Trevor Lawrence?
Yes, it's a simple answer. Going into the season, and this is what happens with preseason rankings and why they're mostly wrong, is when you go into the season, you look at preseason rankings, they go, well, who's coming back that's great? And obviously the best returning player in the nation was Trevor Lawrence at the most important position. So they said, well, Clemson's the leader out of the gate, right? Because if we're being honest with ourselves, Mac Jones wasn't expected to be as good as he was, correct?
I don't think he was even supposed to start all the time either.
Right. Well, but that's the other thing, because they have that kid, Bryce
Young.
God damn. Bryce Young. God, I was going to screw that up, right? Because Bryce Young was like DJ Ukulele at Clemson, where Bryce Young was and this will just prove to you the whole thing. The 2 kids coming out of high school that were the number 1 and number 2 highest rated prospects. Who were they, Errol?
What did you say? I'm sorry. The number what?
Who were the number 1 and number 2 prospects coming out of high school this past year that played last year in college or the previous year?
I have no idea who were they.
Number 1 was Bryce Young.
Okay. Yep.
Number 2 was DJ Ukulele. Where did they go? One went to Clemson. One went to Alabama. Unfortunately, so if he's a freshman coming in, Bryce Young didn't really, he played a little bit, but he really kind of didn't play because Mac Jones was there. But people were wondering when Tua left, who's going to be the quarterback. So when you have a question at quarterback, clearly they're going to rank the team higher at preseason that doesn't have the question at quarterback.
Well, Snug is this is the first time I'd say Snug disagrees with you. The number 1 ranking does not mean you have the number 1 talent. He says over there, and then Ben Lugri.
I don't think that's disagreeing with me, right? Because he's saying the same thing. Just because you're ranked number 1 like Clemson doesn't mean you're the best. They're the most talented team.
And I could say the same for Alabama.
No, you can't say the same thing for Alabama because every year they have one of the top recruiting classes, and every year, whether you like it or not, whether they make it or not, they're in the conversation for the college football.
It's fine, but do they win? Do they win every year? They don't.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
They've won 3 championships in the last 6 years, right? Right? It was 6 years.
Right.
which is not every
and
year.
How many has Clemson won?
2 out of the last.
So more.
Yeah.
So more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They both won 2 in the last 5 years, just LSU in between.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but when you look at overall team, and I get that no one looks at overall team because people don't give a two shits about fat linemen or like positions that they don't look at. Go and look at the rival. First of all, Rivals is a website. You can go on there if you haven't heard of it. Rivals.com. They almost exclusively rank high school basketball and football and things like that. If you go and look at like any of their rankings, it's not even close. Alabama gets more high-end talent. It's not even close.
Coca says,
and the draft proves it. Right?
Wow.
You had linemen going left and right for Alabama, and every year they do. Clemson basically had one good year where they had a bunch of people go in the first round when they had Clellan Farrell and Lawrence and God, I'm going to do
Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins, thank you, Speedy. You're finally correct about something, right? They went. So now everyone thinks Clemson does that every year, but that was an outlier for them. Go back last year. Forget this year's draft. Go back last year and count how many Alabama players. Go back the previous year and count how many Alabama players in the first round.
Right.
It dwarfs everybody else.
No, they do have the most talent that go in the first 3 rounds. There's no question, especially the last 5 seasons.
So when you say to me and all of your listeners, Clemson had the most talent, would you say that you're right or wrong?
I just told you I was wrong, but I'm not going to argue about college football.
No. See, that's a great lesson, Errol. You're showing Speedy how it's done. You said some dumb shit, and then you said, wait a minute, I'm wrong. You see how it's done, Speedy?
Well, again, I will. When it comes to college football, I'm not going to argue when I'm going to go back and forth an argument with talent. Obviously, Alabama has the most that we've seen in the last 5 years. The most that I think the year before, not this past year, the year before that, I think they had 10 first-round draft picks that came out, in the first round.
But it happens every year.
Yeah.
It happens every year. Like everyone's concentrating on, but Tua. The same draft, who else went? Well, Jerry Jeudy was there, right? That doesn't happen for Clemson players. It doesn't.
Coca says Mac was expected to start. He only missed an undefeated season by 8 total points this season.
He obviously doesn't like Mac Jones.
A few terrible pick sixes. Snug says, LOL, oh yeah, only won half of the last 6 championships, so common in college football. Ben says 1 and 2 prospects this year are going to Ohio State and USC, and Alabama is a number 16 in a recruiting class for the upcoming season.
Right, but you can say whatever you want, but sometimes some of these kids are being shut out. And when you go, oh, well, the number 2 kid's going to Ohio State. Yeah? How about the number 4 kid from last year? He went to Ohio State. Where's that kid transferring?
Alabama. Yeah.
This is what happens is people just forget and never mind the skill positions because we talk a lot about wide receivers and running backs and whatever. 2 Alabama offensive linemen in the first round. Right? And then not to mention Christian Barmore should have probably been a first rounder, but he was the best guy at his position at defensive tackle. It just happened that defensive tackle, the first one off the board, went high in the second round. Right. But he was the best at his position. Correct?
Yep.
So you're talking about all these guys that are the best at their position. Where do they all go? Alabama.
Well, I'm not going to reiterate any of that. I think, going back to what we were talking about, yes, every year Alabama has the most talent that goes to the NFL out of all the national teams, collegiate teams out of college football. So you're right about that.
But that's a byproduct of their recruiting, though, Errol.
Yes.
Right. It's a byproduct of the massive amount of talent that goes to Alabama. Not saying Clemson is, cat food about this whole thing, right? But when year after year, in and out, every single time. Alabama gets the most 4- and 5-star recruits where you can go, oh, well, this class is ranked higher, that class is ranked higher.
Right.
Go and look at actual recruits and their actual rankings and how many of them go, because you can go, oh, well, USC has a higher rated class. Why? Because they got the number 2 and number 7 rated prospects and then a bunch of 3-star kids, when Alabama gets 34-star kids.
Right.
But because they got 2 5-stars, they got ranked higher. Get out of here. Nick Saban has made a deal with the devil, and it's working.
Well, that's why Alabama every single year is up for a national championship. I could say the same, over the years, in the last 25 years, except I would say the last year. When you look at college basketball, you talk about Duke and North Carolina and
That's basketball.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, that you get the top recruits,
Right.
you have the best chance to win, and
Right, but that's exactly it. But like the thing is, because they get the best recruits year after year after year, most of those kids, not all, sometimes there's a few outliers, like Bryce Young is going to be a sophomore who's going to take over that position. But generally, when was the last time you saw a sophomore start at quarterback for Alabama? Like a decade ago?
Coca says, you misunderstood that. I said Mac was expected to start. That doesn't speak as a negative of Mac Jones. It just the facts we know. Who doesn't like Tua, though? I don't like
Mac wasn't expected to start. It was actually an open competition to start the year. And it's a complete misnomer saying, oh, well, Mac was expected to start. It's not true.
Well, Mac Jones proved, and that's why he was a top draft pick. He was a top 15 pick. And I think the Patriots got it right with him. So
and by the way, I'm again going to be sad that Mark left early, because I've done nothing but defend Alabama football, and I thought Mark would have been proud.
Jeff, thank you, man.
Is that correct? Did I defend Alabama?
Yeah, you did. You gave Alabama, a big check plus on that. So,
but they do a great job at recruiting. It's just too bad that they have fans like Mark.
Jeff, I'll talk to you soon, man.
And if you haven't seen the best college football song celebration, if you've never been there, you gotta you gotta go to YouTube. And you got to Google Dixieland Delight at Alabama.
I've seen it.
Dude, it's wild as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen it. They're crazy over there. They're crazy over there.
Yeah, of course it is. It's Alabama.
Yeah.
All they know is banging cousins in Alabama football.
And there goes Jeff. Goodbye. Wow, what a show, man. It was definitely an interesting show. We had Mark come on for a little bit. And then disappear after thin air. Chaz, thank you for joining us from Sports Betting Weekly. Go check out their website. If you go and you buy any memorabilia, you put in WWSRN, you get 29% off of any memorabilia autographs you want. He's got some really, really nice stuff on their website. So Sports Betting Weekly, check out their shows every Thursday at 7 p.m. our time at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is 3 hours earlier from them. So that's 5 o'clock Western time. So definitely check out Sports Betting Weekly. It's a really, really good show. They're the best. I'm telling you guys, best handicappers, and they're on ESPN on 1700. They're very well known throughout the country. All their handicappers are very well known, very talented. And Chaz was 13-2, I think. Last week, I think it was on Sunday or something like that. He's almost dead on with some of his picks. So these guys, if you guys want to make money, you definitely got to listen to their handicap show. It's great. So you could sit home and make some good money just watching the game and enjoying yourself and hanging out with Speedy and having your dog lick your ass. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. The Islanders lose. Hopefully we don't see Varlamov in game number 4. I guarantee you will. And we didn't hear from the great and powerful Lyle. So what do you think about that, Mr. Silverberg?
He texted me there was an incident that did happen that he might need to go in for No, it's pretty serious actually. He might need to go in for urgent or hospital or something like that tomorrow.
What happened? He get into a fight?
No, it wasn't a fight or anything. That something happened, a cold or something. He's in a lot of pain right now. That happened, and he says he has to go to urgent care of the hospital in the morning. So that's the reason why he didn't call in. So yeah, but hopefully he's all right though. Seriously,
Yeah, I hope he's all right. It's unfortunately, but
I mean, it could be that, or it could be a broken heart from the game. There could be one or the other.
Probably a broken heart.
Okay. Yeah, he got two bad things that happened tonight. Barzal scored a goal and the Islanders lost. So
Varlamov was the bad thing. I got was Varlamov in goal.
Yeah. So I was 0 for 2 tonight.
I can't wait for Lyle to go to an Islander game and Matthew Barzal get a hat trick and score the only.
He's
three
been
goals.
to those games.
He's a season ticket holder, man. He's been all the games, Speedy. He's seen everything.
I don't understand how he says that he's overrated. I can't. If anything, he's so underrated.
The man's a mystery. I can tell you that. I've known him for 10 years. The man is a mystery. I still have never understood.
He doesn't even say his name right. He says Barzal. It's Barzal. I mean, that's how he pronounces his name, Barzal. Barzal. No, it's Barzal. And when he told me, he said it on my boat trip. He says, "Oh, I remember him telling me Barzal is overrated. I think I wouldn't be upset if the Islanders trade him for some top talent." I said, "What are you nuts?" I was like, it's enough that we lost Tavares. So you want to trade the Islanders' best player, arguably one of the top 3 skaters in the NHL. You just want to send him away. And he'll go to Pittsburgh, he'll go to Philadelphia, he'll go to one of these teams, and he'll be a 40-goal scorer because the Islanders don't put the players around him to succeed. It's really sad. I remember before we go, if anybody remembers Alexei Kovalov. Alexei Kovalov in his early career played for the Rangers. The Rangers drafted him. Unbelievable skater, unbelievable puck handler. He had a problem not shooting the puck enough, like Barzal. The Rangers always misused him, and they never put the right players around him on his line. Never did. And he was never the successful player that a lot of people thought, as far as his talent is concerned, that he could have been. Alexei Kovalov was special. It just was a shame. With all the talent in the world that he had, it just never developed into the NHL because of the Rangers. So Barzal, he's got it. I just think that they need to put the right player around him for him to really succeed. A sniper. Anders Lee is not enough. He's more of a fill-in. They need you're right. By the way, Jeff, I never said he was the best skater. Top 3 top skaters. And he says Kale Makar is the other. Yeah. Barzal's a top 3 speed skater in the league. You want to put those 2 guys in front of him? That you can't put anybody else in front of this kid. He's as good a skater. And by the way, I've seen all these three guys in live and in color. I still, and I'm not saying this because I'm an Islander fan, I've never seen a guy skate like Matthew Barzal. Never. And I've been playing hockey for years. So he's an unbelievable skater. So, but everybody's got a right to their own opinion. That's it for our show. We'll be back next week on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Me, Josh, Speedy. Josh, are we going to get some guests or what?
Well, I mean, I was kind of out sick the last week trying to do things. So, I mean, I will get as many people. Hey, listen, I've gotten as many guests as I could so far the last few weeks. I've gotten them from all over the country.
No, let's get some more.
Literally, I got some from New York. I got some from Utah. So you want me to scout the warehouse scout?
Jeff says, I wanted to see Mark live, but he probably left and cried. So thank you, Jeff, for your natural opinions that you leave with such gracefulness. Speedy didn't cry yesterday. He was more like, Speedy never, after the show, Speedy still didn't admit that he was wrong, just so you guys know.
Insane.
he still believed
I called you this morning and I asked you, did Speedy admit he was wrong?
No.
And you told me he was wrong. And I said, I said, that's insane.
Nah, he never admitted he was wrong.
Speedy, like, come on, man.
But here's the thing. Speedy's never.
I love you, dude, but that. Come on.
Speedy's never going to admit he's wrong because Speedy says, "We'll see in the season." And it doesn't matter if you see. You have a right to your own opinion. Sometimes you just got to play it by what you see, what you know, and statistics. And statistics show that if Julio Jones goes to Seattle, he makes that team a Super Bowl contender automatically. But Speedy doesn't think that because of the deficiencies in their defense. So. Anyways, Garrard for over Speedy. That's what Jeff says over here. Anyways, that's it for our show. We will be back next week. Hopefully, we'll have some guests. Weekend Crunch, check us out. LI News Radio. Go to iHeartRadio. After the Islander game on Saturday night, we will be live in the studios talking sports on 103.9. So definitely stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to like our takes with the Islanders and all the stuff that's going on in sports. It's a great show. And we do have Josh coming back after his sickness. So it will be great. I want to give a shout out to the fans. Kevin for calling us from Illinois. Jeff calling us from Tampa. Who else called?
Oh, Rhode Island for this week for him, Errol.
Yeah, Rhode Island. I'm sorry.
Eric called. Yeah.
Eric called from out here on Long Island saying.
You didn't hear from the Beeve this week.
Yeah, well, the Beeve is, he wasn't feeling very well today, but he says he was going to listen. I'm sure he was listening and tuning in a little bit here and a little bit there like he did yesterday, disagreeing with Speedy and actually agreeing to Jeff. Who
and my sister-in-law even tuning into the show. How about that?
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
I mean, she wanted to look at your ugly mug probably, I guess.
At least she tuned in. That's the importance, whether it's ugly or not. So
And then the great Speedy Petey, who never looks at his camera and always looks down like he's looking at his pecker. So I don't know. One of these days, Speedy will actually listen and actually have the fans. I mean, look at Speedy now. He's looking down. You can't even.
What are you looking at?
Comments.
But you're on a live radio show in front of a camera. And every time, even now, talking to you, you're looking down. You're not even looking at the camera. Now, finally, you look up, you peek. You got to start looking at the camera.
To be fair, I did that a few times on the show. But that's
what you do, which annoys me. What you do, which annoys me, is you're always moving around. You have your hands around your neck.
I'm stretching.
Back. Yeah, well, this is a live radio show, man. You gotta
stretch, man. I had
I gotta stretch too, but you see me, I'm sitting in the same position.
Oh, well, you're a better person than me.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Entertainment, baby.
Like I said, listen, I will say this. I do God's work working with you two. Okay? I'm a blessing. All right. So that's that.
You're a blessing. I'm
damn right.
And you're a blessing.
You're damn right. And then I'm working with you. Actually, you know what? I love working with Speedy.
Yeah.
You're very, as they say, in meh, as they say.
You're working with an all-star team, baby. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways,
I figure the bench warmer all-star. That's what you are. You like to scrub the bench when the game is over.
Well, obviously, you're the one who's sitting on the couch, buddy. So
I love this couch, man.
You're the only bench warmer. You're the only bench warmer here, buddy.
I love this couch.
Well,
this
congratulations.
Couch is
Congratulations. But
I appreciate the congratulations.
Well, you know what you could do? You can get on your knees like Speedy's dog and lick his ass. Okay.
No, I'll leave that for Speedy to leave. Maybe instead of peanut butter, he'll use cream cheese next time. The dog.
Cream cheese. I do like the what do they call that? The New York cheesecake, which is made out of cream cheese. Maybe if we stick some in his ass, you'll eat it.
But no, I like the Italian.
Oh, I don't like the Italian.
Yeah, I do.
Terrible taste. Ugh. It has no taste to it. It tastes like, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like what do they call it? Cardboard.
Yes.
How do you know what Speedy's ass tastes like, buddy?
Listen,
know, Josh.
Listen, I will tell you this: if there's anybody that should be concerned about ass sniffing or ball setting,
oh God,
it's Errol Marks, ladies and gentlemen. More questions about it than anybody.
I'm not the one who said it. You're the one who said it, buddy.
Go to the Snapchats and say, "Do you like this with balls? Playing with balls? Do you sit on balls? Do you love
shave yours?
Do you shave your balls?"
I hope you shave yours, buddy, because that would be pretty damn scary if you don't.
Dude, once a week, man.
Amazon rainforest and Speedy's pants. That's for damn
God, Jesus Christ, dude! Like a dude from the '70s.
I mean, his probably has wings. It's a mutant. It's a mutant in his.
It's like a cocoon with his little pecker inside hiding.
Snug.
Wings I could fly. If I really had a rainforest, I would die.
Oh my God, he gets so analytical with the jokes.
He does.
How many poisonous snakes are in the Amazon rainforest?
I don't know, but you might.
Oh my God, Speedy.
You might have one of your pants. Man.
I would be dead.
Well, I don't know about that. You might be killing other people, especially with those hairs on your balls, if you know what I mean. I mean, seriously, what kind of you're 20? How old are you, Speedy?
25.
Have you ever shaved your balls?
No.
How did you not? You never shaved your balls. I mean,
honestly, dude, if he tried, dude, he'd probably go through 7 or 8 razors, and it still wouldn't even get the job.
I mean, come on, man. Razors. I'd use an electric razor first of all, and then you use the you use the shaver, because I don't know how he's going to get around those big hairs. I mean, could you imagine? Those old
make like those curls that they do in the Jewish religion. The Hasidic Jews, they do like the curls.
Could you imagine him get waxed over there? Could you imagine what the waxer would do?
Oh, it'd be like the 40-year-old virgin. He'd be speaking, Kelly Clarkson.
Oh my God! Could you imagine that, Speedy? You have a hairy ass or what?
Oh my God, dude! If he goes and gets shaved, you and I have to go.
Oh, definitely.
It has to
happen.
I'm not going to be in the room. That's for sure.
No, we don't have to be in the room. You could just hear him screaming like a maniac.
That will never happen.
What do you think would scream louder? Him getting shaved or him yelling at Jeff again?
Him screaming that he's getting shaved.
I don't know. He got pretty loud with Jeff. Jeff even laughed about it. I never heard Jeff laugh before. That was funny.
That's Speedy.
That was so funny. Jeff said it. He goes, "I did my job. I'm leaving."
I couldn't imagine Speedy actually shaving his area. I think Speedy thinks that like it's gonna put a curse on him or something like that. I mean, have you ever thought in your mind to shave your balls? Speedy?
No.
What do you mean? Why not?
Why?
Why? What's scary about it?
I never cared about it until you would.
But what are
the other network people?
Speedy, look at it this way. Speedy, look at it this way.
It's the women. It's the women. It's not
Speedy,
me.
look at it this way. If you don't shave your balls and the woman you have sex with doesn't shave her area, you guys are gonna get like tied up like a knot. It's gonna be like a double knotted thing when you tie your shoes.
By the way, what are you talking about? I mean, seriously, it's like a horse riding a lion or something like that. I mean, seriously. I mean, you first of all, it's nothing bad. You should think about doing it.
You really should, dude. You don't want a double knot happening when you're having.
Could you imagine? I mean, could you imagine?
Call Aaron to get you out with a scissor.
you probably scare people away, bud. It would be very scary.
We're not saying it to be mean, Speedy. We're saying
I'm trying to help you here.
Yeah, man.
It'll definitely give you like some kind of confidence. And could you imagine you actually feel your underwear hit your balls? I mean,
let them breathe, man.
You definitely need to.
Dude, you gotta let them breathe. They probably get sweaty during the summer.
Do you sweat over there, Speedy?
When I run or play like an outdoor game or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
What outdoor game are you playing?
Recreational sport.
Which one? Which one?
Recreational.
Whatever we play, basketball, football, whatever.
Oh, that's it. One-on-one basketball, me versus Speedy in the next week on the Sports Loudmouths.
Could you imagine he gets like hitting the balls with like a ball?
No, but listen, if he gets hit in the balls, he's got all that area to protect him. It's good for him.
Could you imagine he gets hit in the ball, or he plays hockey, gets hit over there, and he gets rushed to the hospital, and they pull down his pants to check it out, and they can't see his balls?
I will say this: that's the benefit of having, I guess, that much. Because look at it this way. Honestly, you probably get a lot of protection down there when that happens.
Protection of what? I mean, seriously.
A lot of hair there. You guard the balls.
It's like a bush.
Speedy, you've been hit down there. Does it hurt like badly? Have you ever been hit like really like? Does it hurt like so badly you feel like it's damaged?
In what? Say that again.
Like, when you get hit in the balls like down there, does it ever feel like it's damaged afterwards, or does it feel like the hair kind of like protects it?
No, I don't think it has ever felt like damage. There might have been some pain, but never damaged. No.
Okay, so you see what I mean? So look, think about it this way. He's not getting
hold on.
balls.
So you're telling him to keep his hairy balls? Is that
no, I'm just trying to stick up for him.
No, he's asking if I ever thought there was going to be some.
No, I'm sticking up for him because I like Speedy. So I don't want him to feel like we're just picking on him. I mean, I feel like we're trying to help him, but at the same time, he has to learn that. You gotta be a big boy here. Get that big hoss out in the pouch.
I think it will really open up some people's eyes, especially girls. Could you imagine a girl pull your pants down and look at something like that? I mean, seriously. I'd be scared. I mean, seriously. Could you imagine that? I don't know if she'll ever be able to see you over there. So, but I love you, Speedy. I'm just trying to give you some confidence here. So maybe you'll listen to me and buy yourself a shaver, or maybe I'll buy you a shaver. So you can take care of yourself over there, Maybe you turn it into like a box or something, At least it'll look like, something to look at,
I don't look at myself. What do you think I do?
I hope you do. I mean, if you don't look at yourself, what the hell
do
do
you think of
over
these
there?
people posting all their body stuff on Instagram?
I know. I'm telling you that if you want somebody to look at it, you might as well shave it over there. You know? Could you imagine I'm not going to say it on live radio. Could you imagine a girl doing something to you and actually not be able to find it?
All right, we're done here. I think this is getting out of control.
What are you running to, man? You're running to your
I'm
bed.
going to bed.
Cry baby, little bitch.
You should go to home.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen.
Mentally.
The great Speedy Petey, as always. Thank you to Jeff, all the fans that listen to us throughout the country. We like to have fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. We'll have a great show lined up for you. Coca, all the new fans, all the people that have tuned in to us, keep tuning into us as we move forward with our shows, our network, the Sports Loudmouths. We're very excited on the future of this show, and hopefully Josh stays healthy because he's a butt-reaming idiot. Anyways, that's it. Me, Speedy, Josh saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381